name is Mike Murdoch. I'm the artistic director of Alchemy Theatre. Thank you so much for being here for our very first thing that we're doing in 2025. In our newly owned building, which the heaters immediately broke in. So, huddle together for warmth, whatever you have to do. Thank you for being here. We are always proud to do the New Works Festival every year. New Works festivals are very important for new writers so that they can see and hear their work out loud in front of an audience and get direct feedback. We're very lucky this year. We got a grant from the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History in order to bring Rachel Bublitz here. Rachel is an award-winning playwright. I have a bio that I'll read before her keynote, but the short and sweet is she's an award-winning playwright. She lives in Utah. She wrote Cheerleaders vs. Aliens and The Book Women, which we have performed here at Alchemy. We're very lucky to have her. She will give a keynote speech a little bit later. But to let you all know what you're in store for, I want to hand it over to our curator for New Works, Mr. Stephen Vance.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Vance. Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for being here. As Mike said, New Works is near and dear to our hearts. We've been doing this together for a long time. A lot of you have been a part of this before. For those of you who have never seen a New Works presentation or one with us, what we're going to do is we're going to read some plays that are brand new, that some of brand new writers, and then we are going to let you guys rip them to shreds. Actually, positive feedback, just you being here and allowing us to hear our work out loud is one of the biggest things we can do as artists. Tonight, we have a couple different sections. We have 3 plays in the front end. One by our good friend Eric Fritzius, who sends his love from Tangiers.
Tangiers.
Yeah, he was in the Canary Islands yesterday. Today he was walking through Morocco, and he said the weather seems great here. He's sad to miss. He writes and submits all over. Mike met him in Lewisburg, and he said this is one of his favorite events, and he hated to miss it so much that he went halfway across the world to get away from us. So we've got a play by him. We've got a play in the first half by one of our newer alchemists, Gracie Bumgarner, whose first event with Alchemy was New Works last year. And since she has been in a lot of plays. 86 plays. With that, be careful, all you new readers. Mackenzie, be warned. I've also submitted a play because one of the things that I do every year is I go to the local high schools. I've been to Huntington High, Cabell Midland, Chesapeake. This year, in the past, I've been to Spring Valley and Covenant and probably some other places. But I give the kids an outline on some basics of playwriting, what directors look for and what actors are looking for, and then just let them go. And I always feel like if I'm going to make them do it, I need to make myself do it because it's a good exercise for all of us. We'll talk more about that later. Those performances of those student plays will be coming up later. We actually have a couple homeschool performances and one by a Huntington High School student, and they're all here this evening, so they're going to love your feedback. But up first, if you'll flip the page number something, I didn't number the pages. The first page on your program, we're going to be reading Fly Lessons Over Lunch. It should be flying, typo. Flying Lessons Over Lunch with St. Joseph Cupertina by Eric Fritzius. If our cast for this show will come on down, welcome to the stage.
So we've never participated in this before. Essentially what's going to happen is we're going to read, I think, 3 plays first. And then Rachel is going to run a talkback session about each of the 3 plays, get feedback from you guys, feedback from the actors, get feedback yourself about the different pieces. And then we'll have a short break where we'll set up where we will have a keynote address from Rachel. And then we'll break again, and then we'll have, I think, 3 more plays?
The high schools.
Yeah, so the high school submissions will end the evening. And then we'll have another talk back after that for them as well.
And
So
the
that's-
award
Yeah.
for the student, Curator's Choice Award for the student presentations.
Right. And they get season passes, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. It's just a cold big deal today. So yeah, thank you all for being here, and let's hear some play.
Flying Lessons Over Lunch with St. Joseph Cupertina by Eric W. Fritzius, based on the short story by Eric Fritzius. Cast of characters: Robert, a father, Aaron, his son, and Tammy, their waitress. The scene: a booth in a diner located in a medium-sized southern city, January 1979. Table should have a condiments caddy, salt and pepper shakers, ketchup bottle, etc. There is an assumed jukebox off stage. Robert and Aaron, father and son, are seated across from one another in a diner booth. They are looking at menus. Aaron should have the red string of a Superman cape hanging down out of his shirt collar. Sound: the unseen jukebox should be playing songs that sound like late 1978, early 1979. Perhaps You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone. Don't Make My Brown Eyes Blue by Crystal Gale. Take This Job and Shove It. Or Mamas Don't Let Their Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Naturally, the rights to those are expensive, but that's the tone. Waitress Tammy approaches with a tray holding 2 plastic diner glasses. One is tea and one is a soft drink in a smaller cup.
Sorry for the wait, hun. Sunday's crowd's only just dying down.
Tammy puts a small glass on table in front of Aaron. She pulls a straw from her apron pocket and puts it beside the glass.
I got 1 small Coke for you and 1 unsweet tea for you.
What do you say, Aaron?
Thank you.
Now
Tammy takes out the order pad.
what sort of lunch you boys looking to?
Tammy pauses, noticing the red string poking out of Aaron's shirt. She looks at Robert, then gestures to her own collar, then points to the boys. Robert, noticing the string too, reaches across and pulls on it.
Hey, Clark Kent, your secret identity's showing again.
Dad! Aaron stuffs the string back into his shirt.
You're the one with his cape string hanging out.
Cute. Glad to know we have us a superhero in for lunch. If we get held up, I'll know who to call.
Someone has seen Superman the movie 4 times now.
Oh, I saw that one. Just once, though. Christopher Reeve can save my day any old time. You must have a pretty nice daddy to take you to the movies so much, as expensive they're getting.
Tell me about it. Nearly up to $250 where we live.
Y'all just passing through then?
Yeah, just visiting the in-laws down south.
In-laws, huh? Your mommy not come with you on the trip?
My mom is dead.
Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't mean
No,
to.
it's fine. You didn't know, and my son shouldn't have said it like that.
I'm just so sorry. If there's...
I'll have the Reuben, and he'll have the grilled cheese and fries. Should be it.
Sorry.
Tammy takes the menus and exits swiftly.
What have we talked about?
Don't talk about Mom dying and freak strangers out.
Yes. Now let me guess. You're wearing the cape and full Superman underoos too?
Aaron nods. He crinkles the straw paper to the bottom of the straw and then begins dripping soda on it to make an accordion paper grow like a worm.
I'd have thought you might be. Were you wearing them the whole time we were at Mamaw's?
Not the whole time. I took them off for baths and sleep.
You wear them to school?
Sometimes you gotta be ready to stop bad things from happening.
Mm-hmm. Should I also be concerned you're planning to jump off a roof trying to fly?
No.
Because you remember what happened to me when I was a kid, right?
Yes, you broke your arm jumping off Grandma's roof.
Exactly. Now take it from me, no cape is going to let you fly.
I don't need a cape to fly.
Good to hear. Wait, you won't need a cape to fly? Is there another way I should know about?
I don't want to talk about it.
Nope. I'm your dad. You say you're going to fly, then I have to know how.
I'm not going to try to fly. I'm just going to fly.
Off of something?
The ground, I just have to believe hard.
Like Peter Pan.
No, like the poster. Remember what the Superman poster says?
The Superman poster doesn't say anything.
Ugh, what does it read?
You'll believe a man can fly.
I'm going to do it like that. Except I'll be a boy flying.
Afraid I still don't follow you.
I'll just have to believe I can fly. Really, really hard. I'll have faith, like Saint Joseph Cupertino.
I think you mean Saint Joseph of Cupertino.
Yeah, him, the flying monk.
Aaron, I told you the story of the flying monk because you asked me if it was possible to fly like Superman. Saint Joseph is the only person I've ever heard of who they say could really fly, but legends like that are tricky.
You said Saint Joseph is part of church history. People came out miles to see him fly.
Yeah, that's what the encyclopedia said. I suspect Saint Joseph might have more in common with Saint Nicholas, though.
What do you mean?
Never mind. Aaron, I think it takes a little more than just believing you can fly. Remember, I believed I could fly that time I jumped off of Grandma's roof. Didn't work. Now I can't turn my wrist this way.
Were you scared before you jumped?
Sure. If I think about it, I can still feel the knot I had in my stomach. And down on all my friends standing in the yard.
You were scared because deep down you were afraid it wouldn't work.
And I was right, it didn't.
If you had true faith, you wouldn't have been scared. You would have known it would work. True faith, like Saint Joseph had.
Okay. So how exactly are you planning to prove your true faith?
I don't have to. I'll just have it.
Do tell.
Remember when we were at Aunt Della's house and we watched that hypnotizer on TV?
A hypnotist, yes.
Remember when he hypnotized that man to make him think he was a chicken, and then the guy clucked and scratched just like a chicken.
Uh-huh.
And then he told the lady that an onion was an apple, and she ate a bite and said it was good.
Uh-huh.
When the people really, really believed those things because the hypnotizer told them they did.
Uh-huh.
So if the hypnotizer told someone to believe that they could fly, then they would be able to because they would have had true faith.
Well, Aaron, just because you believe you're a chicken doesn't make you a chicken. People believe a whole lot of things that aren't true, things that are impossible.
But Jesus did a lot of impossible things. He walked on water, he healed people, and brought Lazarus back from the dead.
Yeah, I know, but Jesus is kind of a special case. He is the Son of God. You're only my son.
The disciples did miracles too. They had true faith.
Well, yeah, they did.
They had faith. I think anyone can do impossible things. They just think they can't, so no one ever tries.
And so you were thinking if you were hypnotized by the man on TV and he told you to believe you could fly, then you'd be able to fly?
No, I don't want him to hypnotize me. I want you.
What?
Like you hypnotized that guy at your college.
Oh, that.
You hypnotized your friend and made him sing a song he didn't know the words to.
Doug said he didn't know the Purdue fight song, but he also said he never went out with Monica Bryant behind my back, and that turned out to be a lie too.
What?
Never mind. Aaron, that was just a psychology class presentation. I wasn't even really trying to... Whatever possessed me to tell you that story?
You can hypnotize me, Daddy. Tell me that I really believe I can fly, just like Superman, and then I will.
No. I'm not going to hypnotize you.
Maybe you could also tell me I had super hearing or X-ray vision.
Aaron.
Or that I could really run fast.
Aaron, I'm not going to hypnotize you.
But it would work.
I don't think it would, but we're not going to find out because I'm not going to hypnotize you.
What if you just did flying? Flying like Superman.
No.
But you could tell me not to jump off everything, ever. I would give you my permission.
No.
You could make me want to do my homework. That'd be okay.
No.
Even math.
No.
What if you told me I always had to be good and do what you said?
No.
But why not?
Because it would be wrong.
Flying's wrong.
No. Making someone do something they normally wouldn't is wrong. You're supposed to do those things because I tell you to, not because you don't have a choice.
I will do them if you let me fly.
Why is flying so important?
Because
Because why?
I have to stop the bad things from happening.
That's not your job. Not yet. I'm the one who has to look out for the bad things, at least till you get old enough to have your own family.
No.
Well, then I guess you have to start aspiring to be Batman instead. He can't fly, he's just as big as hero as Superman.
But he can't do what Superman can.
Maybe not, but he's got a cool car.
No, Batman can't stop the bad things that already happened. He can't make it go backwards.
Go backwards? What are you talking about? Ah, the movie. You want to fly around the Earth and spend time backwards, like Superman did after Lois Lane died?
I could go back. I could go back in.
Save her? Ah, kiddo. That isn't how things work. I really wish it was, but it's not. God took your mom earlier than we wanted. I can't begin to guess his reasons, but that's the way it is. No matter how much we hate it or how sad we are, we have to live with it.
But it was a mistake. You said she wouldn't have died if the nurse noted the sign earlier.
It doesn't matter. You can't change it.
Why not?
It's the rules. God made up the rules to keep things running the way they should. One rule says that humans don't fly. Another says every living thing eventually dies. We can't fix that after they're gone.
But why not? It's not fair.
No. Sometimes it's not. But we have to accept that bad things can and will happen. And hopefully it gives us a better appreciation for the times when bad things don't happen. And hopefully we learn and try hard to prevent bad things in the future.
What about St. Joseph? God broke the rules for him.
Well, that's the thing about legends. Sometimes they're not entirely true, like Papa's tall tales. or maybe God really did break the rules for St. Joseph. Once in a while he breaks them for us too, and we get a miracle. I prayed for one for your mom.
But we didn't get it.
No, not that time.
It's the rules.
Yeah.
Tammy returns carrying a tray with their sandwiches on it.
Here you go. 1 BLT with fries for Clark Kent and 1 Reuben for Mr. Unsweet Tea.
Thanks. I'll go ahead and take the check too. After lunch, Clark's probably going to need to pay a visit to the phone booth I saw at the end of the block. We don't have any back home.
Ooh, you got a crime to stop today, Superman?
No, ma'am. Not today.
Lights down. The end.
Blair, who played Aaron, has now set the record for being the youngest reader we've ever had. The story basically goes like this. He showed up in the theater 2 days ago and says, "Do you have a part for me?" I said, "I think we can find something." If the cast of A Good One by Stephen Vance would come on down. Olivia, you take it from here.
So what we decided you're going to read.
The lights come up on a mini-mart counter with a single employee, Billy, sitting on a stool and counting a small sum of cash. Billy pencils his count on an envelope and slides the meager stack into it and then feeds the envelope into the night drop safe. REM's The End of the World as we know it stops playing and immediately starts again. Billy finds a switch and shuts it off. The mini-mart is silent. Billy looks at his watch, sighs, and grabs his Mountain Dew, a book, and sits on the stool behind the counter. He flips the pages and begins to sing under his breath.
That's great, it starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes and airplanes, and Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Eye of a hurricane, listen to yourself churn.
The door bursts open with a bell ring. Caleb runs in and runs across stage and exits. Billy stops singing, stands, and looks in the direction Caleb ran off. Caleb runs back on, visibly upset. He looks as if he's about to take off running again, until...
Can I help you find something?
Startled, shrieking, falling to the floor.
Are you okay?
Holding his chest, trying to collect himself.
I didn't see you there.
Still trying to rein it in.
What are you doing here?
I work here. That's why I'm behind this counter here and wearing this fancy plastic name tag.
Plastic tag that says Sheila.
I can see that. I can see that, but what are you doing here? Sheila?
It's Billy.
Extending his hand.
I left my name tag at home, and the manager says we always have to wear a name tag. She didn't specify whose. So I borrowed Sheila's. It's part of our professional image. Why anyone cares what I wear at Bixley's Mini Mart is beyond me. But if I'm going to make my way to the top, I've got to start getting my act together. My mom just got me this book called 7 Steps to Success at Your Job. And step 1 to moving up in any company is following the rules. My hard-nosed manager says if I want to prove myself, I need to start here. Step 2 is...
Raising his hand to stop Billy's rambling.
That's nice and all, but that's not what I meant. I mean, why are you here right now? You do know what's going on, right?
You mean the end of the world stuff, or the sale on cowtails? No, they are too for it.
Yes. The imminent destruction of our planet. You do realize we have approximately 10 minutes before everything goes poof.
Yeah, I heard something about that. But I just figured it was a hoax or something. Besides, Pastor Jim down on Main Street has been saying the world's going to end for years. And either way, I can't miss work because success step number 2 is always showing up. And to be honest, my attendance has been a little less than stellar.
This is it. The apocalypse. We have minutes until it's over and Earth sings its swan song.
Then why, may I ask, are you here?
What?
Well, why are you here at the mini mart if the fat lady Swanbird is singing? Why are you here?
Oh, I came to get cigarettes and a slushie.
Say what now?
I came to get cigarettes and a slushie. I know people always do that if you had 15 minutes to live, what would you do thing, but I've never thought about it, and when the timer started ticking down, I panicked, and all I came up with was cigarettes and a slushie. So I ran in here, and then I couldn't even find the slushie machine, and then you scared me.
Finishing the statement, he's nearly in tears.
Sorry about that. I can help. You see, step 3 is always being willing to help. The slushy machine is right over there.
Helping Caleb up.
Go get yourself a supersized grape or Mountain Dew Freeze, and I'll grab your cigarettes. What do you smoke?
I don't know. What's good? I don't actually smoke, I just...
Starting to lose the composure he's gained.
Well, we don't sell a lot of them, but I think the name Virginia Slim sounds nice. Does that sound okay?
Sure, Sheila, whatever you think.
Caleb exits the slushy machine. As he does, the front door bell rings and Mr. Clemens enters.
Hi, Mr. Clemens. How are you this evening?
Mr. Clemens goes straight to the cooler, grabs a half-gallon of 2% milk and a loaf of bread. This takes place during the dialogue.
Oh, hi, Billy. I'm fine.
And how's Mrs. Clemens?
Lillian has good days and bad days. Today has been a very good day. She remembered both of our cats' names, and we had a very nice lunch together. She has to go on a little drive, so here we are.
Oh, good. I'm glad. She's a wonderful woman. She's out in the car?
Peering and waving out the window.
She is a wonderful woman, and very fond of you, I might add.
And I am of her, too.
I was happy to see the store was open. Everything else is closed for the end of the world. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been rioting or looting, but I suppose everyone reacts in different ways. You haven't seen any trouble.
Caleb re-enters with his slushie and waits like a good customer off to the side.
No, pretty boring around here.
Good. Do you have any more of today's paper left?
Yes, sir. Here you go.
Look at that headline. Highway construction complete. Never thought I'd live to see today. Just in time for, well, how much do I owe you?
$7.39. Can I bag it for you?
counting out the exact change.
Nah, I'll carry it.
Mr. Clemens, do you really think this is it?
I'll tell you something, Billy. You may think it's just some old man talking, but the truth is, every day could be the last. Or it could be the start of something beautiful and new. But either way, you've got to fill it all the way to the top with those you love, or you miss the point of it all. So, if that means Lillian wants to take a drive and sends me into the store to get milk and bread, we drive and I buy. Because you never know how many chances you're going to get.
Billy hands him his change.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens. Tell Mrs. Clemens I said hi. Be safe out there.
You too, Billy. Have a good night.
The door opens and closes with a ring, and Mr. Clemens exits. Caleb takes his place at the counter.
I love that old guy. He and his wife have been coming in here for years.
How long have you worked here?
Oh, not long. But I grew up right over in that corner.
You grew up in the mini mart?
Sort of. My mom's the manager.
Your mom is the manager?
Well, sort of.
Sort of?
She's more like the manager slash owner, Betty Bixley, the mini mart queen of the Upper Valley.
Oh my gosh. I know who your mom is. She's kind of a mini celeb around these parts. Those commercials were hilarious. Wait a minute. Does that mean you were the kid in those commercials? You're Billy?
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
Say it.
I don't know what you mean.
Caleb waits.
Really?
Caleb waits.
Fine. Hi! I'm Baby Billy Bixley. Buy the best at Bixley's. B-I-X-L-E-Y! Bixley!
B-I-X-L-E-Y! Can I get a selfie?
Sure.
Pulling out phone, he sees the time. The mood suddenly changes.
Less than 5 minutes. I can't breathe. I need my cigarettes.
Sure thing. ID, please.
Are you kidding me?
Success step 1.
Follow the rules. I get it. I get it. Fine.
Reaching for ID.
I don't seem to have my wallet.
Sorry. No ID, no cigarettes.
Are you kidding me? The certain end of everything we know is upon us, and you are going to hassle me for an ID? Look, man, I'm 36 years old. I'm old enough to legally be able to smoke twice.
No, that would be 42.
What?
The legal smoking age is 21 now. They changed it.
Who changed it? When did it change?
The government, years ago. Look, it doesn't matter. The point is, you have forgotten that I could lose my job if I break the law. I need this job, man. If I don't finally make something of myself, I'm never going to get Susie back.
But it's all over. This time bomb is going off any minute now.
What if it doesn't?
What do you mean, what if it doesn't? It has to. That's what imminent means. It's coming whether we want it or not.
But what if it doesn't? Listen, I just realized I don't know your name.
Caleb.
Listen, Caleb. My life sucks. Nice to meet you, by the way. My girlfriend just broke up with me because she says I can't get my act together. I work for my mom, who expects me to read a book and figure out how to be good at life, and I've never even seen the Godfather trilogy. If the world ends tonight, I don't have time to fix all the things I've screwed up. But if it doesn't, maybe I can get a little bit closer to making things right. Maybe I'll finally take some action that can make a difference. But even if the world does end in the next few minutes, at least I'll know I was pointed in a direction that wasn't just straight down the toilet.
So, no cigarettes?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Knowing my luck, the world probably wouldn't end and I'd have gotten addicted and died of emphysema or something. And you've never seen The Godfather?
Nope. And I was a film major for a while. I can write a mean paper on the mise en scène, though.
If you get the chance, you can skip the third one. It's fine, but not necessary.
So I've heard.
The end of the world, am I right?
They both finally are overcome with laughter at the absurdity of the situation and collapse against the counter as they do. Blackout. Wait for a 5 count. We see a high beam flashlight and the door rings open. At the bell.
Ah!
Billy!
Susie?
When Susie finds him with the flashlight, Billy and Caleb are holding each other tightly. They break away embarrassed.
Billy, are you okay? The power is starting to go out everywhere.
Billy stands, dusting himself off, but staying away, not sure what to do because of the recent breakup. The emergency lights kick on with a whir, and Susie turns off her flashlight and places it on the counter.
Yeah, I think so. Susie, why are you here?
Caleb clears his throat and rises.
This is Caleb. Susie, why are you here?
I've been trying to get a hold of you since they announced this thing a couple hours ago. Why aren't you answering your phone or responding to my text messages?
I had to put my phone up when I clocked in. It's one of the rules. No personal phones at work. Step one to becoming a success at work is...
Following the rules, he wouldn't even sell me a pack of Virginia Slims.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome, Billy.
How did you know I was here?
I called your mom, and she told me you were trying to put your life together, and you asked for an entry-level job so you could prove yourself to her and to me.
Yep, that's what he did. Honorable, don't you think?
Rolling her eyes at Caleb.
Billy.
Susie.
Caleb.
Billy and Susie give him a look. Caleb finally gets the hint, grabs his slushie, and steps to the end of the counter, still well within earshot.
You still have to pay for that.
Susie puts her hand on Billy's face and pulls his attention to her.
Billy, you came to work here for me,
Yes.
and you stayed here and kept working in the last hours of Earth as we know it for me.
Yes. I just figured... Well, I wasn't good enough for you before, and if the world ended today, I was going to at least go out trying, and if the world doesn't end, maybe tomorrow I'd be a little closer to winning you back.
Oh, Billy.
You know, a wise man once said, every day could be the last, or it could be the start of something beautiful and new. But either way, you've got to fill it all the way to the top with those you love, or you miss the point of it all.
Oh, Billy.
Susie jumps into his arms for a hug. The next sound we hear is Caleb reaching the bottom of his slushie with that annoying slurp sound.
Sorry, I'll just...
Billy, if this is the end of it all,
Then we are here together and heading in the right direction, hopefully. And if tomorrow we wake up and then the next day, maybe we've created meaningful habits that will make our world a better place.
Wrapping her arms around him again.
oh, Billy.
Joining them, putting his arms around them both, sandwiching Billy.
This is beautiful. Created meaningful habits?
That's step 4.
What a good one to go out on.
Blackout. Hold for 5 seconds. Music. REM's The End of the World as We Know It.
If the cast of I Might Be One Day by Gracie Bumgarner would come on down.
Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Claire. She was perfect. Kind and selfless and generous, she was remarkably well-read and had never lost a game of chess. She knew how to count cards, but she never did, because she felt like it would be mean to everyone else. On top of that, she was beautiful. She was too good to be true. Good God, that's terrible. Let's see. She was perfect and
Not terrible. It's just unrealistic. Nobody's perfect.
you are. It's the entire point of the story.
It doesn't have to be. I certainly don't feel perfect.
Yes, but you are. You have to be. You have to.
Is that why you named your main character after yourself? Because you're perfect?
Yes, you figured me out. I am the farthest thing from perfect. I'm bad at coming up with names, but I didn't want that to stop me from writing something, okay? Okay. She was perfect, too good. She had just one problem.
How can I have a problem if I'm perfect? Isn't that a bit antithetical?
It's not, it's just...
It kind of is. That's the exact meaning of antithesis.
Listen, I'm the writer. You're the writee. So stop talking and let me do my job, okay?
Forgive me for trying to help.
Anyway, to make up for her being perfect, she had just one problem. She had really rotten luck. After enduring some of said rotten luck, we find our main character in a tiny lifeboat with a stranger, the only two survivors of a capsized ship.
Really?
Yes, really.
What happened? Why were we on the ship? Why did it sink? Why are you doing this to me?
None of that matters. It was the first thing I could think of.
Oh, you thought of me. I was here before the shipwreck.
I'm a character first writer, okay? It doesn't matter what it's about, just that it's you and you're perfect.
Okay, I'm me and I'm perfect, and I'm stranded in a lifeboat. Who's the stranger?
X.
The stranger's name is X?
I'm bad at names, okay? It's a placeholder. Character first, story second, name later. Don't worry about it. X was the only person you could find when the ship was going down. You had been circling in the lifeboat trying to help, but nobody else was there.
Good God, that is terrible.
I won't ask whether you mean my writing or me. You and X spent hours floating in the same spot, hoping you would find someone else to save or someone to save you, and you found neither.
What did we do?
Nothing. Since you saved X, you've been in that lifeboat together with no sign of salvation. The sun rose, and day one on the boat began.
Isn't the sunrise beautiful?
We're stranded out here by ourselves, and you're thinking about the sunrise?
This is a perspective I've never gotten to see it from. It looks different from here, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess.
We'll never see another one quite like it. That's special, isn't it?
The entire situation is.
I know. Do you have anyone waiting for you to get home?
Yeah, my family. I have 2 kids, 4 and 18 months.
I bet they can't wait for you to get home.
I hope so. I hope I can get home.
I'm sure you will. Try not to worry about it.
What about you? Anyone for you back home?
Not like you, just my sister, but we're close.
I hope you find your way back to her then.
Thank you. I'm sure I will.
What do we do now?
Do?
Yes, there has to be something we can do. We can't just sit here and wait for someone to find us.
I don't know what we could do. People will be looking along the ship's route like this once they realize it went down. I think we should stay as close to here as possible.
Does that not drive you crazy? We'll go insane sitting here if we can't do something.
I think anything could drive me crazy right now, but we can't let it. You have babies waiting on you.
Day 2.
How are you feeling?
How am I feeling? Jesus Christ. How do you think I'm feeling?
I know, I'm sorry.
No, you don't know. You don't know me. You don't know how I'm feeling.
You're right, I'm sorry. We're in the same boat here. I was just trying to empathize.
Do not try to be funny right now. You don't know anything.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I know that we're stuck here together, and until someone finds us and helps us, and it will be a lot easier if we can get along somehow.
No. You don't know that. There is no until, it's if now. We've been floating in this boat for 2 days. You don't know if anyone's coming.
You're right, but we just have to hold out hope that someone is looking.
What makes you think anyone even knows we're here?
Well, the ship was supposed to have landed. Someone will know we're missing.
Everyone else who was on that boat is dead, and we're next.
You don't know that. You can't think like that.
Why not? I'm facing the facts, which you clearly can't do.
They're not facts. You're just catastrophizing for the worst possible outcome.
You have such rose-colored glasses on. What is wrong with you? Can't you see we're going to die here?
No! I can't see that. I will not accept that. Maybe I do have rose-colored glasses on, but there is nothing wrong with that. I will not spend the rest of my life unhappy, even if it's only a few more days.
I'm being realistic. I'm not blind to our situation.
I'm not either. I'm being optimistic. I have to be.
Even if you're wrong?
Especially if I'm wrong. I couldn't bear it. I have the same feelings as you. I just can't bear to feel it forever.
Nobody else can either.
I have to believe we've made it this far for a reason.
I wish you'd let me die.
What?
I wish you'd left me in the ocean to drown. I wish I hadn't gotten stuck in this godforsaken boat and been left here to die and think about it every second.
I'm sorry.
Sorry doesn't fix it. You're killing us. Drowning would have been more merciful.
I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to let you die.
Well, now we both get to.
This is heartbreaking. Why would you write something like this?
I don't know what I would do in a situation like that. It's one we never have to think about or face the things we would do in it. I like to think I would be better. Better than I know I would be.
But you're right, you don't know what you would do. You can't punish yourself.
I'm like
for...
I see through rose-colored glasses constantly. But they don't shine the same light on me as they do on everything else.
Don't you think your family at least deserves a chance of getting you back?
I hadn't thought of that. I was being selfish, wasn't I?
No, just scared. We're being human. We've never had to think about what we do in a situation like this.
Day 3.
What, you don't have anything written?
No. No, that's where it ends.
It ends? What happens then? Do we get saved?
I don't know. I hadn't thought that far ahead.
Are you serious? What about X and their family? You have to write an ending. It's not fair to them.
X isn't real. Neither are you.
That was cruel. And it's cruel to leave us floating out here forever just because you haven't decided how to finish your story.
Guess I'm not that nice then. Not as good as you are.
You know, you're never going to get published if you don't finish it.
I was never trying to get published. Just wanted to know what you would have been like.
What? I'm not real, remember?
You are who I want to be. You're who I could have been if I wasn't getting in the way all the time.
Oh. So you're not really that bad at naming characters. You just wanted to see what you would be like
if I didn't always get in the middle of everything and mess it all up. It's a bit on the nose, maybe. That's the only real problem with you.
I thought I didn't have any real problems. I'm perfect, right?
Exactly. Right. You are too good to be true.
I might be one day. You might be.
And I don't really feel perfect. I don't think I am. I just try my best.
Mike, you want to introduce Rachel?
Sure.
Mike Nagley, come on down. You're going to be the defender of Eric Fritzius' property.
Oh.
Gracie Bumgarner, come on down. And go answer questions. And you spent all that time with it. Have a seat anyway. And I'm Steve Vance.
Defender of property, Stephen Vance.
I'll defend that.
So this will be the first talkback, and our moderator for this talkback is Rachel Bublitz. Please come on down. I will let you handle it however you want to handle it. The floor is yours.
Very excited. Thank you. Well, to start it out, I would like another round of applause for the movie because I know it is hard to share your work in front of people. That is a hard thing to do. I like to sit in the back and I like hold my chair until they start laughing. The first laugh, and then I'm like, okay. We're here, they're here with me, we have an audience, we're doing it. And there were laughs in all three of these plays, and they're right from the beginning. So, well done, congratulations. So. I also have to say, the actors and stage directions, you guys all did a fantastic job as well. I was really impressed. Were there rehearsals?
They read it once.
Read it once? Oh my gosh, I'm blown away. Good job. I feel like everyone really tapped into their characters and brought a lot to it. Everyone felt really real, so that was really exciting. So why don't we start with flying lessons, and then we'll just go one at a time. I like to start with popcorn, which is like what popped, what was exciting, what made you lean in, what made you laugh, what made you think, things like that. Just like anything that got you going theatrically. For me, the things that really like popped to me, the cape string, because it's like red and you can just see it like on a stage. Like the stage was so clear, you can see the little boy with just the string popping through. And how that would stand out really bright on stage and like give you a little hint at what you're about to dig into. That was like a moment that like pulled me in closer to this to the work. The other thing that really grabbed me was the dad correcting the son all the time. Like, oh, what posters? Posters don't say anything. My dad did that to me. He'd be like, can I go to Jennifer's house for a sleepover? And he'd be like, I don't know, can you? May I? All that. The spinning time backwards, the like slowly getting to that, I thought that was really touching. Last night here in the theater, we did a dinner and talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that was asked of me is like, what really grabs me as a theater goer? And I said something that makes me cry and laugh in the same piece. And I have mascara on, so I couldn't cry, but I definitely like got the feeling in my eyes that if I gave into it, I could have cried during this piece. And I also laughed at the same time, so that's very well done. Now I'd like to turn it over to the audience. I'm gonna do my best to see hands. Anything popped, make you excited, made you laugh for the first one? Yes, X.
I think like if it lights up, what would pop for me is just the youth of one of the like seeing a kid that young up there, and he did so good. Like,
yes,
I love him. But.
Gentleman for the first row, you also.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like is the fact that the subject matter, the death of a mother, very down, interspersed with the laughter as a counterpart to it. I think that's a very, very unique and wonderful way to deal with a subject like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think juxtaposition is so important. Whenever we can sandwich something sad with something happy, the happy is happier, and the sad is sadder, and it just gets you. And it gives you a chance to breathe as an audience. Like, we get the line, you know, my mom's dead, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And then it's pretty quickly after that there is a laugh, so it lets you know, well, we're not going to be just sitting in that, and it makes it harder that this lovely family isn't whole right now.
Well, it's a conceit older than time itself. It goes
Yeah.
all the way back to Shakespeare.
100%.
You know,
and probably before that.
Sad,
He
sad,
is a learner
sad,
from
sad,
somebody.
comic relief.
Yeah, definitely. Anything, other ones, yeah.
The relationship between the kid and the dad, I think, was really heartwarming and it felt real. And I think the acting was, it made it feel a lot more real. And I think everyone did a really good job in that play. Reading, yeah.
And then there was number 5.
I enjoyed the view of the world from the child's point of view, where it was the superhero and things that I could possibly do if I just had faith, and then a dad trying to not squash that, but at the same time try to get him to see that this is the world and how it operates. And I just liked how they were trying to mesh that together. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and building off of that, how like it seemed, how the child, how they are written seems so youthful, where like where you would imagine something, but once you hear it, it's like, no, that's totally what a kid would say in that scenario, right? Because they don't understand certain things, and yeah.
No, honestly, the kid's writing was so believable that I thought maybe it was going to be like a fantasy type thing, like the kid was ultimately going to fly or something like that. I was like, maybe it'll go that way. Maybe
And the
it'll go.
action too, like the making the thing and then putting the soda on it with the straw.
Yeah, I love
watch
that.
my
I
kids
love
do
it.
that all the time. Every time they have a soda at a restaurant.
Yep.
Let's get one more and then we'll go on to the right.
There was still a lot of hope present. When grief is a main subject, you don't get hope a lot of the time. But the father didn't dwell in his own grief. He made sure that the child's hope was still there, that there are still things possible, even in reality, of how to move on.
Yeah.
Without quashing anything like that.
It's a good point. The writing didn't wallow the dad into it. You know,
Absolutely.
like, through the whole piece, the dad, tried to, be a dad, shepherd the boy through this hard to deal with thing.
Definitely. What a lovely comment to kind of wrap up that play. Do any of the other actors want to throw in opinions or how it felt to be? Yes.
I really liked how the child was like so positive about flying, but then like he couldn't fly, but he was still happy and courage.
Sure. Nice job, Eric.
Definitely. Have fun. Be warm.
Have fun and
You're warmer than we are. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's move on to a good one. Yay! Again, I felt like, so I've got to read the plays and I got to see them, and it's so fun for me to be able to do both because I feel like you get such a different, you get like your imagination, and then you get you get to join in with the character's imagination. But in both experiences, I felt like the world was so, even though the world was ending, the world felt so complete. It's funny too, because one of the first things is the song. And I'm like, man, you have to earn that because you have to pay for rights for songs. And so usually, like in the first one, you say something like this so that they can figure something out. But then you absolutely earn that song. It's probably going to have to be that song. The things that really pop for me, the Sheila name tag. I worked at Target. We always use one another's name tags whenever we didn't have one. So, and that it kept coming back to that. That was really fun. I loved. So we see a lot of apocalyptic stories, or a lot of the world's about to end, and I love the subverting of tropes in this. That there wasn't looting, things like that don't normally happen. That this guy did come to work, and he's like, well, I guess this is happening. And then I think another thing that was really I have a lot of curiosity about how the world is going to end, and how the world is going to end in a way that there is a countdown to it. So I have a lot of questions, and I think it's really nice to like not always give all the information to the audience. It's nice to like leave us wondering, leave us with questions, kind of like makes us fill in some of the imagination. So that's really fun. And I'm going to turn it over to our audience. What popped? Yes.
Owen's character was perfect. And I really enjoyed like you said, talking about the world is ending and he goes into work and, just lives his life normally because that's what he's supposed to do. And it ends up working out for him in the end,
Definitely. Yes.
My favorite part is like whenever Owen was trying to buy cigarettes and it's like the end of the world and then Mike's like, yeah, well, you can't buy cigarettes right now. Still go to my job.
Step one. I love that they kept going back to the steps. That was like throughout, and it's like that's step 4, that's step 1. Sorry about step 1. Definitely.
Continuity, definitely.
Yes.
Usually they say only do stuff like 3 times.
Yeah,
It's
the
the rule of 3. But it worked in such a way that it could keep coming back and keep being fun.
Yeah.
And I really liked that was a thing that was persistent, because whereas like some things don't work that much, you can keep on having that and it stays funny throughout the whole entire thing.
It was handled a different way each time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have a question. What apocalypse? I mean, like what set off the apocalypse?
So before you answer that, I will say, as a moderator, I give the playwrights permission to not answer any question they don't want to answer, because I appreciate that as a playwright. So you can say yes or no.
I'll answer it.
Yeah, what is it?
I thought when I was thinking about it, there's a couple things that I've seen. There's a movie called Finding a Friend for the End of the World. Steve Carell, Keira Knightley. I think they talk about it, but the idea of not talking about all what NORAD's doing and what the governments are doing, and they literally just focused on their relationship for the entire movie. That was the 2 hours of the movie, and I was like, I like that. And then the idea of, to your question, does anybody actually know how Inception works?
Not
the
really.
movie
Not really.
Inception.
Not at all. Right.
I didn't care. Like the fact that Inception happened, I didn't want him to explain a single thing. I just wanted to go. And I hope I did it. What my goal was, not explain the world at all, and find 2 characters and follow those 2 characters around, and some color characters here and there, but. That was the whole point. So I have no idea how the world is. I don't actually even know if the world is actually ending.
Yeah.
I don't know any of those answers. I don't know why the lights are going out. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I was hoping it wouldn't. That was the point.
So along those lines, Steve, one thing that I really appreciated that you did in there is you put it in such a familiar setting, like right down to the slushy flavors, like things that people can relate to, but you had just enough in there to put it a little bit out of the norm, like the cigarette age increasing years ago. So, like there was just attention to detail in that, where you made it familiar, but you had just those little things in there to let us know it's not quite what we would expect. I loved how you did that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I was gonna say, I feel like you piggybacking on that idea of, is the world ending? I don't know, it doesn't matter, that's not the focus. And I feel like our generation has lived through the end of the world so many times. Like Y2K, like that was a thing. And the world didn't end. And so I think that's fun. And you mentioned the pastor saying the world's gonna end like 13 times already. And, like, that was funny.
And it's a nod to Taxi. Because his name's Pastor Jim instead of Reverend Jim. Because he's one of my favorite people.
Yes.
Did you have?
Yeah, I love really funny details. I love the idea of a guy wanting to try cigarettes for the first time right before the world's going to end. Well, I'm curious. So I've heard your pieces for the past few years now. This was a lot more joke heavy than you usually do, and I thought the jokes were really effective. And I thought maybe,
thank you.
I'm curious as to what brought that on. Why did you? Was that a conscious decision to try to be more comedic this year?
I wanted to leave enough So for those that have seen my stuff, it's usually about a couple having dinner. And I just wanted to leave that behind because I've done it a lot. Like everything I've ever written has had something to do with food. Thus the Slurpee. But it was kind of a mini rebellion to see if I could do anything else at all. Like, I would, if I'm honest, I probably stole most of the jokes out of conversations I've had with everybody that's here. Honestly, because I think that's where my creativity comes from, is just conversations that I have with my friends. So.
And then one more, or two more, because someone in the back hand. So you're first, and then at back.
I like how you get to know the character of Billy through his interactions with the old man, and then with the finding out the history behind the commercials and stuff like that. I really like that as like a way to reveal information about his character.
Yes.
One thing that impressed me is that a play, a performance is more than just writing the words down, which is what these people did, but by having really, really good actors. The facial expressions made so much more to that. If you'd had people like me up there reading, it wouldn't nearly have been as good. But the feedback to Steve as a writer is dependent upon everything else after just one rehearsal that everyone added in. And I thought that particular play really, really emphasized, because they were really, really good actors.
Definitely.
As the writer and the casting director, I felt pretty good.
That was going to be my question. Did you have those actors in mind when you wrote it?
No, I absolutely didn't.
Did you change it to 36 after you put me in it?
No, actually, it was actually, I didn't know who had signed up because I didn't look at the form until days after I had written it. So I was like,
Owen was mad the entire time that I was younger than
he's
him.
supposed to be in his 20s. And I'm like, come on.
I looked down the list and
Close your eyes and through dark.
I mean, other than Todd, like, I mean, I had some discussion about it, and I was like, yeah, it's got to be Todd. And for Mr. Clemens, because he's the nice one among our group. So,
Good casting. All right, awesome. And then the final of these three, I might be one day. Congratulations. I don't know if you were in charge of the choice to not read any of the stage directions, but I thought that was really exciting.
I didn't have any.
Right in that, but like that essentially the stage directions were read by the writer and the character that was the writer. That was really fun. I think when I heard it out loud, I saw so many things that could happen on stage that were really exciting. Just like in the staging of it, like how time passes, how you could. Every time the director has a line about something that happens on stage, you could like have it happen. Like you could throw a lifeboat. You could throw out like a big blow up thing. You just put it in there, and then they're like, okay, fine. I guess we have to get into this boat now because that's what we're doing. The wrestling between a character and a writer, I found very interesting. I've killed characters and like cried about it. As ridiculous as that is. Even like I did an adaptation of Achilles, and like Patroclus dies. He dies, and I felt really, really bad about it. I didn't do it the first time. I had to do it. I couldn't just like. He was my favorite character. Anyway, so I found the day 3, the tension of like. That's the end, and she's like, but what? Wait, what happens to us? And you're like, I don't know. The character, like that was really exciting. The tension between the writee, as you call it, and the writer really pulled me in. And then there were a few lines that really grabbed me. I will not spend the rest of my life unhappy. That one really grabbed me, and I wish you'd let me die. Yeah. And now to yes.
So I would say two things. First, great casting to make Cindy the perfect person.
Everybody who read for me, I wrote with them in mind. Like, I wanted Cindy for it. Like I knew.
I saw you shake your head as she described her.
Oh, yes.
I did.
But no, so I thought everybody was really good. And on the staging thing, I agree. Like and Chris, I don't know if this is like written in, but like what he was doing, where he was like as she would break the boat scene and talk to you, he would be reacting to what you guys were talking about, and like just that, I could see that happening on the staging of it and being really effective in breaking up, because it's very serious on the boat is like very intense.
Yeah.
And then like we were talking about the other shows, it kind of breaks it up, and it was kind of humorous the way he's been like, or you know, I can't remember what he said. There was something about like, what's his name? She's and he's like, what? Like, you know, like, so I like that kind of ability to do that, and I thought it did a great job. And with the looking back and forth on day 3, like that was really good. All that's
I have 3 things. Sorry. I'm looking at it from like a psychological perspective, because Gracie as a person is younger, and maybe there's like a social media perception in there, and I say that because is there a reason that you took the I out of how she's perceived versus the I in her name, because you're trying to perceive how you want to be, or you're trying to show how you want to be perceived versus who you actually are in behind the filter of like Instagram.
That's what I was. I hadn't thought about it through social media terms, but that's what I was trying to get across. Is that we all have this. I mean, I won't say we all. I have kind of this idea of myself and who I could be, and then I feel like sometimes things happen and I don't act the way I had thought I would, and I sabotage myself. And so it's kind of that push and pull, and that's why I only had Claire and Claire speak with each other, not X, because I felt like it was a more intimate relationship than just a writer and a character. It's
her inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely. That's brilliant. Number 2. Well, actually, I just put 2 of those together. So her own journey isn't complete as a writer, which is why she can't complete the shipwreck yet. Sorry. I was like, she can't complete it because she isn't finished with her own journey yet.
Yeah.
She's like still sailing.
Yes.
But she doesn't see the island to be rescued or the people yet. Okay, sorry. Like those things just kept jumping. I was like, oh, this is so deep. That maybe you didn't intend it to be. I just like, your writing
I
is
hoped
perceived.
that it would be, but I kind of put it out there.
Okay. Your writing is perceived that way.
Yes, it's exactly what I meant. It's like all of those it's like all those mid-century critiques on drama that everybody just, there are books full, like Miller had everything that Miller ever wrote. There's a book, essays. What I thought Arthur Miller meant in this play. So congratulations on that.
Yeah. And I did it to Nora after they first read it too. She was like, "Is the I thing a play on Grace and Gracie?" Because I go by Gracie, but it is Grace. And I was like, "It is now. That is genius."
So you're like, put it as a fake.
Yeah.
It's for me. Yes.
I want to share the lore, the New Works lore with everybody. Her first show with us was last year doing the same thing, and she read, she was a reader, and the first character she played was named Claire. And she wasn't aware of this, but as I was reading it, I was like, oh, she's really thinking, she's creating like lore for our little theater. Like, it was named Claire, and it was 2 sisters on a boat. Like, and I was like, that's why you did this. And she's like, yeah, that's right.
I'd forgotten.
Yeah. The only reason I remember the Claire name is because we didn't know her.
I know.
Not me. He always includes me.
Yeah, I called her. You did not know her name at first. I was like, well, Claire. She was Claire. She played Claire in that thing. So I called her Claire for like 6 months.
All right. Any other? Yes.
Was it intentional that she couldn't be saved, like the character Claire couldn't be saved because you have to rescue yourself? Was that an intentional thing too? Because that was kind of the feeling I was getting emotional about it. I'm just gonna say.
It was something I had thought about, but I think I chose to end it the way I did because I wanted to make it clear that it was a story and that they were just characters, like they're not real. So that's kind of why I cut it off in the place that I did, because the lifeboat, like so many of the things in there are true. Like I did plan on giving X a name and just decided not to. I really couldn't think of anything. And the lifeboat was the first story idea that I had, and then I had the author and the character idea, and so I just meshed them together, and that's what I came up with.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Definitely. I just had a thought and it like left my brain. Even that happens.
Oh, when I was really struck, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but I was really struck with when the character Claire is like, if you don't finish this, you won't get published.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're like, the writer says, I don't want that, like that's not the point of this. I really appreciated that as an artist. Like, I think everyone should create, and it shouldn't always be for money or for anything. You know, Kurt Vonnegut has this, like, he had a big, he was interviewed towards the end of his life, and he talked about, he drew and painted his whole life, and he's like, and they're bad. He's like, that's not why I did it. He's like, it isn't about selling things, it isn't about monetization or getting published or getting anything. It's like we create to fill our soul, to fill our body, and I think that the piece had that in it, and that you're like, I'm exploring something. Like, let me do, like, it's not about selling this for money later. Like, so I really appreciated that. One more. Yes.
I just think the idea of a conversation between someone and like their idealized version of themselves is really neat and interesting, and I think a lot about you know, the kind of person I wish I was compared to who I am in real world, and I write a lot and put myself into characters a lot often to try to, I guess, figure out what I'm trying to become. I don't. But that was very neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think characters are the most interesting and compelling when they're specific and they have like things that are real people, and like the person you know the best is you. So it's like free specificity that you can put in your characters. So I agree. Like it's just like I put my kids and my husband and stuff so much. I go and see things and they're like, oh, that was me. Sorry, your mom is a playwright. Tough for you.
What you said about like art not being about money, but something like for you to like like fill your soul. It's not about like what other people like see and get out of it. It's I mean, it can be for that, but it can also just be for you, like to understand, try to understand things better.
Yeah.
Creativity is really awesome and magic. Right.
Yeah. That's a great way to. That'll be the end of our talk back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. We're going to take like a quick 5 so we can switch over, because we're going to live broadcast the address for all the people watching at home. So you need to get a cowtail. They're 2 for $1.
Yeah.
You need your coffee. You need anything
I don't
else.
know what a cowtail is.
We'll be back in 5.
15 people are like, I've got a dog!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of 3 of our show tonight.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mike Murdoch. I'm the artistic director of Alchemy Theatre. Thank you all so much for being here. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this New Works Festival. We brought her in from Utah with the help from a grant from the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History. We're very lucky to have her. Here at Alchemy, we have produced 2 of her plays. One, Cheerleaders vs. Aliens, this past year, and The Book Women the year before that. Rachel Bublitz is an award-winning and internationally produced playwright known for telling stories about women and creating exciting new work for young performers. She received the prestigious Will Glickman Award for the Best Premiere Play in the San Francisco Bay Area for her full-length play Ripped. In 2015, she was recognized as the top emerging female playwright in the Bay Area, receiving the June Ann Baker Prize. Her work has been produced at theaters and schools across the country, as well as Canada and England. Rachel developed her full-length environmental thriller Burst at the Pasadena Playhouse for the Mach 33 Festival of New Science Drive Plays in partnership with Caltech. Burst has received development with Keegan Theater, Theater 33, the Ground and Field Theater Festival, as well as many others. It was a semifinalist for the 2019 Bay Area Playwrights Festival. Now living in Salt Lake, Rachel found a wealth of new theaters and artists to collaborate with. In Salt Lake, she's received multiple readings with Salt Lake Acting Company and the Plan B Lab. In Park City, Rachel's had 3 commissioned works from the Egyptian U Theater, including Cheerleaders vs. Aliens, a sci-fi comedy directed by Alicia Washington, the world premiere in 2018. The Night Witches, directed by Alexandra Harbold, world premiere in 2019 at the Great Salt Lake Fringe Festival, to a sold-out run and a remount planned in the spring, which probably already happened at this point, because this was in 2020. And The Summer I Howled, a horror comedy, which had its world premiere in October of 2020. Rachel's had the pleasure of working in Ogden at the Good Company Theater with the Utah premiere of Ripped took place. Plan B Theater has toured Rachel's play presenting Super Cat and Reptile Robot and the Terrible Tickle Trouble for their 2019-2020 elementary school tour. And in Cedar City at the Utah Shakespeare Festival, Rachel had the pleasure of having the first public reading of Burst. Rachel has taught acting and other theater courses at Weber State University. She was a fellow for the 2015 Blacklist Screenplay Lab in San Francisco and served as the Bay Area Youth Ambassador for the Dramatists Guild for 2 years. She has plays published with Pioneer Drama Service, Eldridge Plays and Musicals, and Playground Publishing. She is a member of the Dramatists Guild of America. When she isn't writing, she's chasing after her 2 Viking-like children. I am pleased to introduce, and Alchemy is so glad to have her here, Rachel Bublitz.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. How did I end up here at Alchemy? 2 years ago, I saw a really cool poster for the book Women, and I have my plays done all over, and you know, a lot of the posters are great, and some are like really special, and this was a special one, and so it kind of stuck in my head. Fast forward about a year later, I see Alchemy is doing Cheerleaders vs. Aliens. I think to myself, this has to be a different Alchemy Theater. There's no way the same theater would put me, like a relatively unknown playwright, in back-to-back seasons. That doesn't really happen unless you're Lauren Gunderson or William Shakespeare. And as I am neither, I figured this has to be a different theater. I look it up, it's the same theater. I could not believe it. And not only is it the same theater, it's the same director, which was just so exciting. I went on to Alchemy's website. I couldn't find your email, Cindy, actually, on there. So I ended up emailing Nora and said, hello, I'm Rachel Bublitz. It seems that you like me. Would you like to meet me more? Because I already like you. And then I offered to send, since I think the bio that you got was from my website, which I haven't updated in a long time. My husband's a computer programmer, and so he makes me program my own website. And I don't remember how to change my bio. So I have had a few more publications since then. And so I sent all the other published things that I have for youth theater to Nora. And we started talking more, and I said, hey, you know, I like to travel around the country. Would you like to have me out? Like, I would love to do a commission. What can we do? And she said, well, I can try to apply for a grant. And then she got the grant, which is incredible. And she said, you know, do you have this weekend available? Which it's like my only free January weekend. Also incredible. And so here I am. You know, weather, good job. Because we decided, like, we made the plans mid-December, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to West Virginia. What's the weather like? And I look in towards the end of December, and I'm like, 60 degrees? That's going to be great. Because it's 20 degrees in Utah right now. I'm so excited to walk around in not freezing weather. And then I look the weekend before I come, and I'm like, un momento, por favor. Like, hold on. What are we doing? Because now it is significantly colder. But, you know, at least I understand snow now. I grew up in San Diego, California, and had I not lived in Salt Lake, this would have been a very different experience for me, because the first time I experienced snow was not my finest hour in any way. So that's how I ended up here. How did I end up writing plays? I started as an actor. So when I was very young, the first thing I ever wanted to be when I grew up was a rock climber. Then I figured out I was afraid of heights, so I didn't become a rock climber. The second thing was I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Then I wanted to be a writer. Then I wanted to be an actor for a very long time. So all of my things were like money-making machines, obviously. Like I had economics in mind when I was planning my life as a young person. But no, so I wanted to be an actor. In high school, I acted in every play. After I was a freshman, I directed and acted in all of the plays. I went on to get my bachelor's degree in performance. I directed a lot. That was what I was gonna do. I was gonna go off in the world and be an actor, mostly for stage, but if they had to have me in movies, I figured, I guess I would let them. But the wrinkle happened when I was graduating from the San Francisco State University with my performance degree. I was pregnant with my first child. And so I was done. I had my first baby. Her name's Audrey. She's great. And in the Bay Area where my husband and I were living, it's about, at the time in 2008, it was $25 an hour to get a babysitter. And I don't know if you know about acting, but they don't pay you $25 an hour to act in your play, act in a play, even if it's Berkeley Rep. So I couldn't do I couldn't act at the time. My husband is not Mormon, but he did grow up in Salt Lake, and so he was always jealous of all of his friends who had like 5 or plus siblings. He only had one brother, so when we first got married, he's like, a lot of kids, and I was like, yeah, so many kids. So we had our first baby, then we had their second baby pretty close. They're just under 2 years apart. Still not acting, still not directing, still not really involved in theater, me. After the second baby, I look at my husband and I'm like, okay, are we ready for baby number 3? Like, we're doing this, right? And he's like, hold on. What if we waited 2 years and we just like put a pin in that and see how we felt in 2 years? And it turned out after 2 years, I was able to like read a book for the first time, which was pretty good. I mean, I've been reading a lot of Dr. Seuss, so I've been reading some books. But nothing like, I read Pride and Prejudice again, and it was like, wow, that's a book. This is so good. And then I just started reading, I went on a binge and just started reading all these classics. One of my dear friends worked at the box office at Berkeley Rep, and she got me in to go see Arabian Nights, Mary Zimmerman's adaptation of Arabian Nights. And I went and saw it, and I just came home, and I just could not stop crying. It was such a beautiful production. It was so well done. And I miss theater so bad. It was like an ache in my heart. Something I think that happens, something that happened to me is, you know exactly who you are. You're in your early 20s, but you really don't know anything. And then I decided to have kids right away. And then it's like, who am I? Am I a mother? Am I this? What is it? What is life? What is my purpose? And I had the mother thing down. I knew like snacks were important, the park was important, showering them most of the time was important. But like I had to figure out how can I also involve theater, because that's like the other half of my life and that's just as important. And so still, now I have 2 kids, so babysitting is no longer $25 an hour. It is significantly more expensive because you have 2, so it's probably like $30 to $35. Same problem as before, but I was like, okay, is there a theater thing that I can do at home? And playwriting is mostly done at home. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a play. This is not gonna be hard at all. This is gonna be great. It was very hard. I was wrong. I was super, super wrong. But it was also more rewarding than acting had ever been, or directing. Like when I first started acting, I loved it. I was obsessed with acting. Like I was one of those obnoxious actors who would write a bio for every character they ever played. I was the actor who not only memorized my lines, I memorized the whole play. So especially this happened more in high school than college, but like if somebody didn't know what they were doing and I'm like, okay, no, I got us all. I got this whole thing. I'm gonna give you your line. It's not a big deal. We're gonna get through it. And then in college, I started directing more, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much more exciting than acting. It was just like this, like I have more control and there's more going on, and I get to like decide what it means, not just like concentrate on one aspect of the play. And then writing it was like even more. Like every time, I don't get nervous on stage or acting. I got pretty nervous when I was director because I'd have to sit in the back and be like, I don't know what they're gonna do. What if everyone forgets? What if the lights go out? You know, all the what ifs. And then the writer is like even more removed, and it's even more nerve-wracking. It's like you sit in the back and you're, like I said earlier, you're just waiting for that first laugh through the audience to know that like, okay, we're on this trip together. It's gonna be okay. And for some reason, that nerve-wrackingness makes it better and more rewarding for me. I don't know why I'm like this, but I am. The harder something is, for a long time I ran until I was injured, and it's like the most hard physical thing to do, and it makes it better, and I don't know why. So that's how I kind of came to writing plays. I went to a junior college first, and with my best friend and her husband, who's also my best friend, and they're always my first readers, especially on my early work. I sent them my first play. It's called The Fantasy Club. You can't find it because it's in a drawer in my computer and it will never be shown to the world. But when they read it, they were like, oh, Rachel, it's so good. It's so funny. It was not a comedy. And I told them, it's a serious play. It's not funny. And they're like, no, Rachel, it's very funny. And so I said, fine. So I leaned in more to funny. I went out and found a bunch of playwriting groups. I don't know what is here, but in the Bay Area, we had groups where you can bring $10 and 10 pages, and they'd have a couple actors, and they'd read it, and you'd be with a bunch of other playwrights, and you'd hear your work out loud, which is super important, especially when you're just starting out, and then you would get feedback. The feedback was not as nice as what we had here, but you know, not everyone does feedback the same way. I will say I really appreciate Alchemy's stance on it. I agree that like positive feedback is the way to go, but so well done. But yeah, so I just start to bring 10 pages to these different community events. And when I had an actor who I felt like really got my stuff, I would go and say, hi, I'm Rachel. Thank you for being a reader tonight. Can I get your email? And I just would start to like build a little army of actors that I could come over, bribe with pizza, and like read my whole thing. And then I found more things. We had the Olympians Festival, San Francisco Olympians Festival, where every year they had different myths from Greek mythology that were up for adaptation, and you'd submit a proposal and they'd pick, you know, the best one, and they'd have like, it's like 2 weeks. And so there'd be 10 minutes, one acts, and full lengths. And so I started doing that, and you know, you have a year to write it, but then you have like a week to rehearse it, and maybe a week. You get a couple of rehearsals, and then you're up in front of people, and you get to hear the audience's reaction. And it was incredible. And while I was doing that, I joined a group called Playground in the Bay Area, which was very exciting. It's all about 10-minute plays. They call themselves the Playwright Incubator. They give you a topic on Friday. The following Sunday, your play is due. The next Friday, the 6 best of those plays are read at Berkeley Rep in front of audience. You know, sometimes we'd actually fill the house, which is incredible. So I started writing a lot, and I started to just like churn out the plays. Like I was one of the only people, I found out this later, but I talked to some of the other people in the Playground writing pool, and I'd be like, how do you decide? Like you have 3 days, so you've obviously written 3 plays. And then like, how do you know? And the other writers would look at me like, what are you talking about? No, we have not written more than 1 play. You are a type of person that is not like us, not like other people. So, but it was a great experience, and I learned a lot about writing and about myself. I know that as a writer, I need to write quite a lot in order to figure out my writing craft. When I think I was 11 when or maybe I was younger, my oldest sister gave me a journal, and it was really pretty. And it was so pretty that if I didn't write in it every day, I had a lot of guilt. Has anyone had those kind of journals?
Yes.
Yes. So I wrote in it every day, and I wouldn't think about what I wrote. I would just write. And every year, she's like, Rachel loves this journal. So she would buy me then another pretty journal. And so, I know. It's her fault that I'm like this. And then with the journaling, I also wrote just a ton of terrible poetry in high school. And I had no idea, but that was like an amazing entry point to write plays. So much of writing, not just plays, but writing in general, is like letting go of all the stuff that's floating around your head, the stuff that's like, don't forget you need to buy a vegetable for dinner, and remember my friend said something about my shirt and I didn't like that very much. And it's hard to like get past that and actually write the thing. And journaling, oddly enough, gave me like that ability to just like drop everything else and like get to it. So I'm writing in San Francisco. I'm in Playground. I'm doing a bunch of stuff with the San Francisco Olympians Festival. I get accepted into my first conference that's away from the Bay Area. I was in grad school at the time. And so I did the KCTCF, Kennedy Center American Theater College Festival. I can never do it if it's not spelled out. And so we went up, I went to a state or two up, I believe it was Washington State, for my first one, where they read one of my 10-minute plays. It was an amazing experience. I was with different grad students from across my region. I got to meet all these actual living writers who were had feedback for my plays. And then I came home to my husband and our 2 small children, who were small at the time. And they're like, my husband's making pancakes and just like kind of softly crying. And he's like, we didn't have any close friends in the Bay Area. And I'm not sure, so we had kids in our early 20s. We would go to the park and everyone would be like, oh, you're the nanny, because I was so much younger than all the other parents. None of our friends had kids. None of our friends were even, like, our friends are now having kids that we were in the Bay Area with. So they were not in a place where they were ready to like help babysit or help around, anything like that. We didn't have any relatives. So he was really overwhelmed with like a weekend with these 2 toddlers. So I came home and he was like, okay, I support you. But if you're gonna do this and you're gonna leave me for weekends at a time, we have to move to family. And so that was either Salt Lake City, Utah, where he's from, or San Diego, California, where I'm from. And Salt Lake won because it's significantly cheaper. So, and ever so slightly more central to the country. So like when I go places, it's a little bit easier. They have a more international airport than San Diego does too, which is also great. Whenever you don't have to connect a bunch of times, it's lovely. So when I moved to Salt Lake City, because remember, I like to do things a lot when I do things. I looked up all the artistic directors and literary managers, and I emailed them, and I said, hello, I'm Rachel Bublitz. I'm a new playwright. I'm moving to the area. I love new work. Can we get together for coffee or tea or whatever and talk about plays and theater and what you love? And a surprising number of them said yes. And then one of them, Jamie Wilcox, who's the artistic director of the Egyptian Youth Theater, when we were talking, I was like, so what are your limitations? What are you excited about? What are you always running into? And she's like, there's just not a lot of new work that's exciting for young performers. And I was like, oh, I remember high school. I remember gender switching everything. I remember only doing Neil Simon and gender switching everything. And Neil Simon is great. I like Neil Simon, but it's just like, there's other things out there. She said, would you ever consider writing a play for young people? And I was like, I know young people. I love young people. That sounds great. Will you commission me? And she was like, absolutely. What's your idea? And I said, cheerleaders versus aliens. And she said, you got me with the title. Like, let's do this. Yeah, and so it was my biggest cast that I've ever written in my at the time, it was 20 characters. I knew that it was super important to have a lot of female characters who are complex and interesting, and to have a lot of characters that were like not gender specific, so that you could just kind of throw anybody in there. I wanted to make it like as gender flexible as possible, so that anybody anywhere could do the play. Typically, we happen to have a lot of ladies who are in theater, so there's a lot of those rules out there for them. All the characters I named after female comedians that I love. Yeah. So that was really fun to like go through and like write out a list and then like connect them with them. And because I had support from that theater, I got to, in my contract, I got to have a week-long workshop with Alicia Washington, who directed it. And we worked every day with the cast, and then I would rewrite at night, and then we'd work with the cast, and I'd rewrite. And then we did the world premiere about 7 or so months later. And it was a thrilling play to work on. It was such a joy. I think whenever I set out to write anything, whether it's for young performers or older performers, it's always like, what do I wish I'd had at that age? What plays do I wish I could have done? Because not only in high school were we doing all the Neil Simon, when I got to college, all of the scenes had to be like from August Wilson, Arthur Miller, and there was like 4 other male playwrights, and then we got what's her name? The Children's Hour. Lillian Hellman. We got Lillian Hellman. So it was like, okay, are we doing Lillian Hellman or are we gender swapping? Because it's like, there's not a lot of, all the people in my class, it was 75% young ladies, and you know, your scene partner is often going to be a lady. And gender swapping is fun and great, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also fun to write a part that was written for you. And so up until that point, I'd written things that I'd wish I'd done, and I continue to do that as well. So that's how Cheerleaders came about. I just kind of suggested it to an artistic director after knowing them for 1 hour. Thankfully, she's now one of my closest friends, so it was great. And then we just kind of kept building on that. That was also my first published play, my first full-length published play. I had some shorter things published. Publishing is a whole other weird can of worms where you have to be published before most publishers will consider you. So they'll say you have to be published, and you're like, okay, like where's the thing to jump into in order to do that? And it turns out that like youth theater kind of is that in, because there's so few playwrights writing for young performers, and so many publishers are looking for exciting new works in that category, that like if you have something, they'll take it even if you don't have the backing of an agent or other publishers behind you. So that was kind of my in for publishing, was I was like, oh, but I'm writing for youth, and that's how Cheerleaders got published. I was actually, one of the people I wrote with in Playground reached out to me recently. I think I have about 10 full lengths published now, and he was trying to get something published, and he's like, list all your titles, and I was, and he's like, oh, don't list your titles for children, just list your titles for adults, that's all that matters. And I'm like, excuse you. I was like, I get the same royalty percentage for my kids' plays as I do my adult plays, and like young performers are just as deserving as of exciting new works as adults. And I think a lot of people don't do this. You can like give challenging things to people of all ages. And I think that's one of the things that's really lacking in a lot of the youth plays that I read is it's like they can take on more, they can do more. They're humans. I'm lucky to have 2 amazing kids who surprise me every day with how much they can, you know, like there's a lot going on in the world. These kids got it. They know what's up. So I think one of the keys for me to have 10 plays published is like, what am I interested in, that circle, and like what is missing in theater, and that's the other circle, and like where things overlap is like your sweet spot of like, that's where you write, because that's where there's opportunity. So it's plays for young people and plays with roles for women, young women, old women, women of all ages. So that's kind of where I focus on. My next commission from the Egyptian was The Night Witches, which it was mentioned earlier, it had a sold-out run at the Lake Fringe Festival. It's now been produced over 50 times. It just had its 50th production in 2024. Yeah, it's been produced in Ireland and in Australia. It's been produced in Canada and all over the country. It's very, very cool. After that play, I submitted it to like 4 or 5 different publishers, and I got 4 yeses. And then I had to negotiate, which I was not good at, but I was mostly like, okay, they have offered me this, and just said nothing else. And then they would offer me more, and then I'd go to the other 3 and be like, they have offered me this, and then they'd get an answer back, and just kept like going back and forth until I was like, okay, I have to make a decision. My daughter, who must have been 11 or 12 at the time, she likes to think of herself as my agent or manager, I'm not sure which, but she kind of made the final call, and she was like, okay, you're gonna go with these people because it's a little bigger audience than you're used to, and it's a good way to get to know them, and they won't be mad, the other people won't be mad, you'll be fine. And so I think I made the right choice. It's with Dramatic Publishing, and it's very exciting. But I said no to Stage Partners, because Stage Partners wanted it. But they immediately were like, we really like your writing. We really like your handling of a historical play. Can we commission you? And I said, sure, let's talk. And they said, okay, there are these women who during the Depression delivered books on horseback during the Great Depression, and they were called the Bookwomen. And I was like, you had me at Bookwomen. Like, where do I sign my name? This sounds amazing. And I think it might be one of my favorite plays for sure, but it's also one of my, I had to be the most careful with that play, I felt, as a writer. With Cheerleaders versus Aliens, I felt like I could be any of those girls. I could have been one of those aliens. I'd never been to Kentucky. I still actually have never been to Kentucky. I know that I feel like often the way that part of the world is depicted in media is not favorable or great, and I didn't want to add to that. Thankfully, Kentucky is amazing in that they have a oral library that's available online. And so I got to listen to people talk from the 1920s and 30s from Kentucky, from the county that I was setting the play in. So I could hear a variety of people, kind of get their cadence, kind of get a feel, and go into the play not thinking that I was gonna abuse a group or a region of the country that I'd never even been to yet. And so I'm always very excited when the Bookwoman is done. I was really excited that it was done here. I think it's the closest to where it actually happened that it's been produced yet. And the care that everyone here showed to that play was super obvious, even to me in Utah, which is amazing. Yeah. So since the Bookwoman, I've been commissioned more time. Let's see. It's hard because there's secrets. I have an adaptation. I have an adaptation of a play that they commissioned, but I'm not allowed to say what it is yet. But that's going to be really fun. I can tell you when the camera's off. I just wrote for the University of Utah. Just commissioned me to write a sports play. Oh. Yes, I'm very excited. It's about water polo. It's my thing. What's the hardest thing you could do on stage? It might be water polo. So the first draft is written. We did a staged reading of it, and we're gonna further development. It might not be done by the University of Utah. It might be done by some students at the University of Utah next year, but hopefully that'll happen. I have some other fun plays that I'm really excited about working with. The Egyptian Youth Theatre has another commission that they're hoping to get from me in the next year or two. And so, I'm just moving and grooving on writing, publishing, and getting my plays published or produced. I'd like to get things published, one, because it's really pretty to have a nice little book. I can't get over that. It's a book and it has my words in it and it's great. But the best part is that they handle the contracts for my productions, which I never want. I hate writing contracts. I hate reading contracts. They handle all of that, so that's lovely. yeah, so looking forward, I hope to work with Alchemy again soon. This has been a joy to come out here, to get to know the people here at this theater, but also like the town in general. I walked around Huntington as much as I could today, slipping and sliding. I went and looked down at the river. I guess I was looking at Ohio. I had no idea. You get to Ohio. I'm from states that are so big. Like in California, if you drive up California, that's like days of your life. You are on the road for days before you get to Oregon. You can go over to Arizona, and that's a lot quicker, but still. I feel like Utah's bigger than states over here. Anyway, it's very exciting that I could be in Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky all within like 30 minutes. That's 15? All three? Congratulations. Well done. That's like geography. You're going places. You're like checking boxes. I think that is mostly what I planned to talk about, but I also thought there might be questions. I think that's a good time to turn it over if anybody has questions about the bookwomen or cheerleaders or being a playwright in general. Yeah.
So, I'm a retired pastor, so every sermon starts with a blank page. Do you find, like, this was kind of the joy of that, was I would start writing not really knowing where I was going, and somehow just the process came to fruition. Does that same kind of thing go in playwriting?
So I know a lot of playwrights who just start writing and a beautifully crafted, well-developed circle of a play happens, absolutely. That is not my process at all, at all. When I first started writing, I'd do that, and it would be funny, not much would happen. Or if stuff happened, it'd be funny, stuff would happen, but it didn't mean anything. I wasn't saying anything about the world, or I wasn't doing anything. I've learned that for me as a writer, I really have to have a plan. I often throw my plans out. I usually outline and then get halfway, and then an actor or a character wants to go this way, where I'd had them go, and I follow them and rewrite my outline. But yeah, I have to have a plan, otherwise a whole lot of nothing happens.
This is sort of related. So it sounds like you get a lot of commissions from places to write shows, and so Bookwoman, that was suggested by the commissioner, right? So
yeah.
We would like you to write a show about this specific thing. Does that happen a lot, or is it usually just write a show? We're commissioning a show and write it, and we're gonna love it. Like how?
Yeah, it's kind of both. So with Stage Partners, the publisher who commissioned the Bookwoman and a new project that I'm working on, it's very specific. It's like, we want you to write this, and then I go. At the Egyptian Youth Theater, it's always been me pitching something, and that can change and morph as I go. But it's always my idea. I'm trying to think, I think in 2023, I was commissioned to write a play about retrovirology. They're having a commission about retroviruses at the University of Utah, and they wanted me to write a play about it. Oh yeah, it was a lot, because the person who was commissioning me was not a theater person, it was a science person, and so he was trying to teach me what retroviruses are, and that didn't go well. I mean, I can tell you a few things, but it's still a concept that is like, retroviruses are wild. Let me tell you. It's like, we didn't have a placenta until a retrovirus. Like, they changed mammals. Okay. Anyway, that was a commission that it was super open, but also very specific. Like, they're like, we don't know how retroviruses are a play, but make it a play, which is hard. And I only had a certain amount of time, and then everything kept changing. So that was one that actually didn't work out. It was my first one that, like, I wrote it, and they're like, oh, this is great. And then we did a reading of it. Oh, this is great. And then they were like, you know what? We've decided we'd like it to be absurd and like talk about the people, not being able to have placentas until this retrovirus. And I was like, whoa. This thing's happening in a couple weeks. Like, absurdism is hard to do, and not like without a lot of headspace. And so I said, look, I gave you the play, and they held up their head of the bargain, but we didn't. They ended up having someone else write something for the performance.
Can I ask? I don't want to monopolize, but a slight follow-up, just since it's the same topic is. So when you're coming up with your own ideas, do they just come to you? How do you sort of? Is there a process to think up ideas? Do you just think of it and write it down? I mean,
So I have a couple different ways. I'm a huge believer in lists. I will list all day, and sometimes it's like I need to get to 100 items on this list, or sometimes it's I have 10 minutes and I can't stop my pen until it's the timer goes off. I think when you look at the blank page, as you were saying, there's like a million options. And it's all about hacking away at some of those options and giving yourselves parameters. And a lot of our brain is filled with don't forget to change the laundry when it is ready to change in 40 minutes. Or did you remember to feed the dog? Or, you have to wash your kid every other day. My kids swam, so they didn't need as many baths. And so you sit down and all these things just they still don't wash their hair. My son has chlorine bleached hair. It's amazing. Anyways, so when you sit down to write and there's all these things, it gets overwhelming. And so if I want to write a new play, if I've been commissioned, or if I know that I'm going to have a meeting with Jamie about what I'm going to write next, I'll sit down and say, okay, 100 ideas. 98 of those are bad. And I have to give myself permission and space to have a lot of bad ideas. My computer is filled with plays that will never see the light of day because they looked like they were good ideas. I wrote them, I realized they're never going to work, and I just get shoved in a random folder that I hope no one ever finds. I'm going to have to delete it one day. Because I think... I know! I have that feeling too, but I also think that if I die... and my kids could make money from them, they will. In fact, I know my daughter will. And I just don't want that stuff out there. And so I'll write lists, and then I'll figure out okay, this is the most exciting, this is the best one. Or sometimes they just come to me. I've been trying to write a Christmas play for a really long time. And so for years, my head has been thinking of Christmas ideas, and I recently got one and I was like, oh wow, that's ridiculous, and I want to write that. But it took my brain a really long time. I think my brain at least needs a lot of space to go through all the options. So it's kind of both. If it's I'm in a crunch, like when I was writing with Playground, and I needed to write a play in 3 days, I did a lot of lists, and then I would pick the 3 best ideas that came out of that and write those 3. And then just see what direction those went. But then in the back of all this, so when I'm done with this journal or notebook, I'll start another one. And in the very back page is where I put ideas. So no matter where I'm at in the book, even if I'm in the middle, I always put them in the back. So if it's oh, I have time to start something new, I go there and I'm what did I think of at 4 a.m. that I luckily remembered at 10 a.m. so that I could write it in my journal the next day. When I'm exercising, I get a lot of ideas. I think exercising makes your brain go other places, especially if you're not listening to a podcast or a book on tape. Your brain just kind of gets to wander as your body's doing something really hard. So I think of ideas then a lot. And it's just finding a system to keep track of them, and then finding a system that works for you, that you can access new ideas when you need them. Yes. You.
I like that you said absurdism is really hard.
It's so hard.
I'm trying to write a absurdist comedy. How do you go about adapting an idea that's completely ridiculous and it looks good in your head, or funny, but you have to work with the constraints of being in a theater? It's a stage play.
Yeah. Right. So I think anytime you're trying to go from the thing that you see in your brain to the thing that you see on stage, I think one of the biggest things that holds us back is if you go to a museum and you see a painting, you see this perfect, beautiful, magical work. This is a masterpiece. Most of the museums are filled with masterpieces. What you don't see is the 5 years that artists spent trying to draw a perfect circle. You don't see how many drafts went into this, how many versions of this will never see the light of day, how many sketches that they did, how much hours they did practicing. And I think something that holds me back, and I have to constantly remind myself, is first drafts are supposed to be bad. They are supposed to be bad. We cannot have a finished draft unless we have a bad first draft. So something that I have to constantly tell myself when I'm sitting down to write a brand new play and it's like all these things in my head look amazing. It's like tap dancing and everyone's wearing sequins and it's perfect, and then I draw it and it's like stick figures, you know? Is that like I can't go, it doesn't come with tap dancing and sequins. You have to like build up to it. And I would say making things work for the stage is like one of the best things about being a creator in theater is that we collaborate. And we have smarter people than us that come in with their ideas, right? So like in Cheerleaders versus Aliens, it's like glitter, smoke, poof. That's like the stage directions for most of the fight scene between the aliens and the cheerleaders, right? Because I was like, not my problem. Lasers, you guys got that? Lasers. Bam, you know? And someone figured it out, and I hear that you guys had an amazing fight choreographer and you figured it out. So, and I also think there's like a lot of things that can be figured out on stage. You know, when I wrote The Night Witches, they fly in a plane. It's about women during World War II who flew for Russia, who bombed the Nazis every night in very badly made planes. And so I'm writing the first draft, and I'm like, they're gonna have to take off any minute now. How are they gonna do that? We're gonna be at a fringe festival. We have 2 benches and like as little props as possible. And so I'm sitting there and I'm writing, and I'm like, the other characters become the plane. They make the noises, they make all the stuff, they are the plane. And it's, now that I've seen it done, it is the most beautiful part of the play. And like you, with your play, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's a metaphor, because they're lifting each other up. And I'm like, yeah. That was so on purpose. I am so smart. But so yeah, like, I have one play that's absurd, and it didn't just happen. You have to like get in a room with people. You have to like let that bad first draft happen. You have to let yourself rewrite. I have plays that I've rewritten like 10 to 20 times. You know, when you watch a movie, that's not the first draft of that script. So give yourself space. Let it be bad. Like if I could tell any writer, any artist, just like let the first thing be bad. That's fine. You have time.
It's hard writing jokes for absurdism like that people can't really relate to because it's not real, but that's part of it, you know?
Right. I mean, I would just say write it and let it be what it is, and then later you have like rewriting's like the jam. That's where it's like, oh, I get to now shape this, you know, mold that kind of looks like a ball, and I get to shape it, I get to shave a little here, I get to make it what it is. I wouldn't worry about absurdism or any of that first. I would just let it be what it is and then fix it later.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One
more. There's one more?
Yeah.
Okay, one more. You had.
Do you have favorite characters from either of the 2 that we've done, like from Cheerleaders or from Bookwomen?
Cheerleaders is probably Gilda, for sure. My mom flew out for the world premiere, and she was like, Rachel, that's you. When you were younger. And I was like, I was not like Gilda. And my sister was like, oh my gosh, she totally was. But I love Gilda. I love that she never gets things, and she's just like, no, this is, you know, you don't want to be auditioning here. These are bad people. Just come on. It's not a good thing. And then for the Bookwomen, probably Irma. I said this last night as well, but like there's so much care into like some characters, because you're like, they're gonna hold the story, it's what the arc is all around. And then sometimes the characters that are slightly more on the side just happen. They just come out and they're fully formed. Irma was one of those that I didn't have to think about once. She just came out that way. She's amazing. And she made my job as a writer significantly easier. Yeah, so I think those 2 are my favorite from those.
You're gonna be eating so many marshmallows. You did that.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I can't stand them.
Oh my gosh. I have so much guilt. It could have been many. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for being a part of Alchemy's New Works Festival 2025. Thank you for doing this. We truly appreciate it. We are going to set up for the last 3 short plays.
Yeah, like a quick break, like a real quick break. If you need something, make it happen now.
So set up the cocktails while you can. Let's hear it once again for Rachel Bublitz. Next up is our student section of our plays. Mike and I and Gracie this year have gone to the high schools and talked about plays, playwriting, and what we're looking for as directors and actors, given some brief outlines because we get about a class length to get it done. And then since Thanksgiving, the students had the opportunity to write a play. We received several submissions over the last few years. This is the first year that we've had homeschoolers also submit plays, and very excited about that. But first up, from Huntington High School, we have an original play by 10th grader Jacob Wyatt Cribb, and it's called Tech Failure.
Tech failure. Noon in an office building, John, Stephen, and Greg are sitting at desks working on computers. Greg is relaxed in his posture, John is sitting in a good posture, and Stephen is sitting weirdly. He has his feet in his chair with him. A few seconds pass as the actors mimic working on computers when suddenly an error sound effect is played.
Hey guys,
Turning his chair to face John.
Yeah, John.
something's up with my computer. Something happened on my screen, and this file I was working on just got completely deleted.
Another error sound effect plays.
Mine's glitching out too. Just lost everything I had for this project I was working on. Can't find it anywhere. Like it was erased from this PC, and if I lose it, I might get fired.
Greg turns to face both as another error sound effect plays.
Same thing just happened here. I lost so much work on mine, you won't believe how much is gone now.
Suddenly, a few more error sounds are played in quick succession. John quickly stands up from his desk.
I think this might be a company-wide glitch. I think it's time to call him.
Greg stands up looking at John.
You don't mean him.
Slowly walking to the phone on the wall.
He's our only hope. We must call him.
Who is him?
John grabs the phone and starts dialing a number. After 3 numbers are dialed, he picks up the phone and says, "Send him to the 20th floor. We're having a mass tech failure." Walking over to Stephen.
This him we're talking about is Ethan, the IT guy. We've never seen him before, but we've gotten good reviews of his work. Always seems to get stuff done, but some have odd stories. We've never seen him before.
Well, he should be able to help.
Hanging up the phone.
All right, he's on his way.
Sounds of an elevator moving play, progressively getting louder and louder until a ding sounds, and out walks Ethan, the IT guy. Ethan walks towards the other 3. His steps are slow, and he looks a bit tired.
Okay, which computers are bugged?
All of them. I mentioned that in the call I sent earlier. From the sounds I've been hearing, this is a company-wide problem. All of our computers on this floor are down. It could be just this floor, but it doesn't sound like it.
He walks over to the desks.
Alright then, what seems to be the problem?
Several errors on files. Deleted my ginormous file I had for statistics, had every company that's ever bought from us on there, then it got deleted.
And it also got rid of my project. Due to this error, I've lost my project that I projected would be finished in 2 months. Now the project is gone and the projected time is extended.
So, would you be able to help us?
He motioned for Stephen to get up from his desk. For context, Stephen's desk is filled with junk, plastic water bottles, a few papers, a plastic cup, a Pez dispenser, and several pencils.
Yes, I can. Just allow me to work my magic.
Ethan, while walking to Stephen's desk, knocks a drink into the floor, causing it to spill. Gasps arise from Stephen, John, and Greg. Ethan then sits down and drags his arm across the desk, sending everything onto the floor. As this happens, Stephen walks over to John's computer and starts messing with it. This causes Greg to back up, tripping over a cord and landing in his chair.
You know what? I'll let you all deal with this.
Currently in utter shock from Ethan swiping things off the desk and into the floor,
Why did you do that?
Ethan brings out his own keyboard, connects it to the computer, and starts to type and do things.
I need to be in an area of focus. Everything on his desk was cluttering my focus.
John looks physically pained by Ethan saying this, almost as if someone just took a knife and shoved it into his gut and twisted it around.
What do you mean? Focus!
John calms himself down enough to stop yelling. He's now walking back and forth as he talks quietly to himself, saying, "It'll be fine," repeatedly. Currently hunched over the computer.
Seems to be a simple problem here. Just a small bug here. Should be over in no time.
30 seconds passed while in the background, John keeps pacing back and forth. Greg is still sitting. Stephen keeps trying to go through John's computer, and Ethan is leaning back in his chair, staring at the computer. Approaching Ethan.
Update on fixing it?
Turning to face John.
Huh?
Do you have an ETA on when it'll be fixed?
Oh, this? Yeah, it can be fixed. Don't even know what's happening to it.
What? You just said it would be done in no time.
Yeah, in no time. It would be done in 0 time. It can't be done. Seriously, how could you not figure that's what I meant?
John is now visibly angry. As he gets closer to Ethan, it looks like he's about to punch him when suddenly, running over to John and Ethan.
Wait, so you're telling me we can't save my project? Not my project! Now I'm definitely getting fired.
Fired from what exactly? You talking about this project, but I don't know what is so important for this company that you can only call it my project. Or words similar. It's not like we're in a security company or anything like that.
Wait, this isn't a security company? This isn't the company I was hired at 5 years ago that hired me for a big project that I spent all 5 years working on? This isn't that company?
No. The only security company I know that is within like 5 miles of here is the people in the building across the street from ours.
Oh. I'm definitely fired from there.
John face-bombs now having reached a new level of annoyed after learning the IT guy can't do anything, and that Stephen doesn't even work there, and that Ethan isn't doing anything.
Wait, I think I found a solution. I just need to delete this file I found called System32, and it will all be solved. Saw it online. It actually solves a lot of problems. It does set computers on a reboot, but it works. They call the process bricking. Works wonders on the computers.
For the most part, John was silencing out what Ethan was saying. That was until he heard the words delete and System32 come out of Ethan's mouth. This causes him to do another facepalm, this time more exaggerated. Now facing Ethan again.
Please don't. That will just make things worse. Let me take a look. I can't do any worse than you.
Ethan gets out of the chair and starts to back up. As he does, a bunch of error sound effects play repeatedly as if this is the computer's last stand.
Seriously, man. What the F did you do to this thing?
Oh, that? Yeah, I already deleted System 32 a few minutes ago. So I just didn't miss it because I wanted to add dramatic effects. Also, already set it to reboot in just a few months. It should be good as new.
Did either of you two morons see him do this?
Greg now stands up.
Yeah. Told me about it while he did it. Explained every step. Even did it to my own computer to fix it. He was telling me about it since as soon as he got here. I need to get that paper with a lot of work on it. It has so much work that if it's deleted, this company's getting sent back months.
Even angrier than before.
So you knew, and you didn't think to tell anyone? I swear I'm working with idiots!
John then stands up and starts walking towards Ethan, forcing Ethan to back up even more.
How on earth did you get hired here?
As this happens, Ethan starts stammering and tripping over himself and scrambling. They loop around the desks a few times, that is until they get to the cord Greg tripped over earlier. He walks away as Ethan continues to back up, now tripping over the cord and unplugging it. When that happens, the error noises stop. The computer screens go dark.
What just happened?
Quickly scrambling to get back up and replug the cord.
Oh, I unplugged the cord and replugged the extension cords that connect the power. I remembered that I have to do that. One of the first things we were taught.
You didn't do that earlier?
To be truthful, I didn't see it there. Walked in and just disappeared from my mind. Did not see it at all.
A few moments and the computers turn on, except for Steven's, since Ethan deleted System 32. John then walks over to check Greg's recovered work file.
Hey, Greg?
Now over with John.
Yeah, John.
You mind explaining why this file that was so important to recover that you nearly bricked your computer over had only one sentence on there and it was time to log in and do this?
Oh, that. Yeah, I didn't have the file completed. I just wanted it to sound like I was still doing work.
Now looking at Greg and John.
Oh yeah, I do that exact same thing all the time. Really saves me from getting fired.
The anger finally built in John, but instead of an explosion, it was a break. Walking towards the exit.
That's it! I quit!
Stephen, Greg, and Ethan stare at John as he leaves.
So, want to get lunch?
Sure. Sounds good.
Would the cast of In Limbo come on down? We'll put the angels right here. This play is by Lucien Sammons. He is homeschooled, and I have no idea what grade he's in because is that even a thing? That works. In Limbo by Lucien Sammons, everybody. Oh wait, we're missing Lex. Lex, come on down.
Hi.
This is actually part of the stage direction.
Yes. Lex forgets he's in a play.
In Limbo by Lucien Sammons. Purgatory office. Lights are out. In a liminal empty space, two chairs sit in the middle of the stage. Eerie music is playing in the background. After a few seconds, the lights come up. Jeff is in his 60s or 70s and wearing farmer clothes. He sits in the chair to the right, crossing his legs and looking about in a contempt manner. Lex sits in the chair in the left with his eyes closed, when he is suddenly sprung awake.
Ah! Oh my god!
Car crash?
Where am I?
You're in purgatory, my friend. You just died.
What? Oh my god, I crashed the car. My friends are in there.
How bad was the crash?
I don't know. I just remember being out cold and icy, and I was drunk because my friend Danny wanted me to drink, and then I just remember a big thud and glass shattering, and then I blacked out.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I didn't see that old lady in the road when I swerved. And, oh God, I hope she's okay.
It's okay. I just want you to take a few deep breaths.
Are my friends dead? Well, I would know because if they were dead, they'd be here, right?
Not exactly. You're in purgatory right now. Some of your friends could have gone to heaven or the other place.
Oh, frick! Wait, does that mean Danny's in hell?
I don't know. Was your friend Danny a good, upstanding citizen who followed the law? Hey, no, don't sweat it. A lot of the rules for whether you go up or down are kind of up in the air. It's a lot of how noble your heart is based on your situation, and they'll give you a lot of leeway based on the circumstances you grew up in. And sometimes they give you a pass if you did something good just before you died. You'll need to ask the angels who run this place to be sure, though.
Wait, there are angels here I can talk to?
Yeah, they're right there.
Jeff points to a receptionist desk sitting just a couple of yards away from them, stage right.
Oh, okay.
Lex goes over to the angel running the desk and rings the bell. The angel looks up at Lex with the cheeriest disposition.
Hello. How can I help you?
Hey, I just died. Could I speak to your manager?
Do you want to speak to God?
God is your manager.
Yep. God is everyone's manager.
Okay, that makes sense. Is he available?
Up or down, high or low, God is always available with a hidey ho.
Okay. Well, just tell him that if there's anything I can do to get to heaven or redeem myself, that would be great.
Well, you can go through the sacrifice program.
The what?
The sacrifice program is where you pick one poor soul who you think shouldn't go to hell and then take their place, sending you to hell and them to heaven.
And this will send me to heaven.
I don't know. We can't really tell you that. Are you willing to spend eternal damnation for someone else?
If I answer yes, but I'm only doing it because I know I will go to heaven, will I spend forever in heaven or hell?
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, is there any other way I can be sent to heaven?
Let's see.
The angel looks through their index.
Oh, you can unclog God's toilet.
God has a toilet.
Yeah, and it's really big.
Is there anything else I could do?
Well, we could put you on our waiting list.
You have a waiting list.
Yes. You take a number over there and wait until you're called.
Spotlight shines on a ticket stand stage left.
So I just take a number and then when my number is called, I'll get to go to heaven?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just do that then.
Lex goes and takes a number from the ticket stand and then sits back in his chair.
You decided to wait it out, huh?
Yeah, all the other options were garbage.
What number did you get?
100,510,145.
Seems like you'll be here for a while.
What was the last number called?
The angel at the receptionist desk leans over and speaks into the intercom.
Number 4,500,101.
A man sitting in a chair stage left from Jeff and Lex checks his number and then goes over to the receptionist desk. The angel hands him a big ring of keys and points him towards the direction of heaven. The man exits stage right.
How long is it when each number is called?
Well, it's at random usually. There's no real rhyme or reason why they call the number when they do. Well, I mean, there's probably a reason why, but I just don't know it.
Okay.
If you sleep it off, it'll go faster, trust me.
You can sleep in this place? Wait, do you get tired here? Can you go to sleep if you can't get tired?
Just try it.
Okay, well, I guess just wake me up when it's my number.
You got it.
Lights go out. An undiscernible amount of time passes. You can hear Jeff snoring. Lights come up when Lex starts to awaken from his slumber. Jeff is fully passed out, hunched over Lex's lap.
Whoa. How long was I out for?
Number 4,500,102.
God. Hey, wake up!
Lex hits Jeff on the side of his head. Jeff jolts awake.
Hot marmalade fired flapjacks. What happened?
How long was I out? When did you go to sleep?
Well, you can't tell time in this place. I have no idea.
Felt like I slept for years.
You very much could have.
God. This is gonna take forever.
Probably.
Is there anything to do to pass the time in this place?
Nope. I can tell you my life story if you want.
Sure, why not?
All right, so way back in 1964, there was a small town in Iowa called Winterset, and
Jeff proceeds to tell his entire story in excruciating detail.
so then I woke up. I was really excited because it had just been my 5th birthday, and now it was Christmas.
This goes on for who knows how long when Lex just can't take it anymore.
So I just had my 6th birthday party. My parents gave me a new G.I. Joe action figure, and I could not be more excited to show all my friends at school.
Hey, I'm just gonna go talk to the angel receptionist one more time. There's something I need to ask.
Go ahead, I'll still be here.
Lex walks over to the receptionist desk and then starts whispering.
Hey, so is there any way that I can be moved to a different spot in this place?
Why? Is anything bothering you?
Well, it's just that guy over there.
Lex points over to Jeff.
He's just, listen, I don't know why that guy's here. He says he's been here for a while. I don't know why you guys sent him here. Maybe to teach people lessons about themselves, like a guide to help people get to heaven. I don't know what my lesson is. So could you just tell me that maybe it's patience, and I have to listen to the rest of this guy's life story for the next 100 years before I can make it up to heaven? But if that's the case, then just send me to hell, please. It's not worth it.
Sir, I have no idea who that is.
Wait, you didn't send Jeff here?
No. He came walking over one day with a chair and then sat down right next to where everybody pops in. I asked him if he was lost and if he needed help, but he said there was a mix-up and that he was supposed to go to purgatory and help people who popped in there to go to heaven. He didn't really explain it any further.
Huh.
He tried to help people who popped in, but after a while he stopped trying to change their minds and just started hanging out, telling his life story to people in hopes they wouldn't get bored.
Wow, that's interesting.
I didn't even know you could exit heaven down to purgatory. Nobody had tried it before.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Hey, listen. You seem like a good kid. You made a few mistakes, got unlucky. If you convince that guy to go back up to heaven, then I'll give you a free pass.
Really?
Yep.
Okay then.
Lex goes back and sits by Jeff.
So we left off with having my 6th birthday party, G.I. Joe in hand. I was so excited.
Hey, could we maybe take a break from the story, just for a little bit? I need a breather, you know?
Totally got it, my friend. I need a breather sometimes after just telling them.
So, have you ever seen heaven before?
Oh, yeah, I was there for a little bit, but then I realized my true calling was to help lost souls find their way to heaven.
This might be what it's cracked up to be then.
Oh, no, it is.
Are you sure you never want to go back then?
Yeah, I think this is my calling. I don't ever really plan on going back.
You must have lived a pretty good life to get into heaven.
No, it wasn't too bad. Made a few mistakes, but I ended up doing okay.
Yeah. Like my whole life has just been mistakes, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I just kept making stupid decision after stupid decision. I mean, I guess at the time I thought they made sense. Got in a lot of fights with my parents.
No, I understand.
Just felt like everything I did just made them more and more mad. I always felt like they were disappointed in me some way. I don't know if they were, looking back. That was just always the vibe I got.
I get it. I had a kid who, when he was a teen, was always getting into trouble. And I would get mad at him sometimes, but I still always loved him. I'm sure your parents did too. They just didn't know how to say it sometimes.
Is your son still alive?
No.
What, if I may ask, what happened?
Jeff takes a second.
When he was a kid, probably around your age or so, he sneaked out and gone to this party, and I didn't want him to go to. He had a couple of his buddies, and they went out and vandalized the back of some gas station and got caught. I told him that he wasn't welcome in this house anymore, and I told him to leave. Then the next day I hear from the police again that apparently he'd gone and done a bunch of drugs and he overdosed. The police gave me the journal that he had, and it was just pages and pages of him saying how he was depressed and struggling, and that his parents never understood him.
Jeff stops the story, choked up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's kind of how I was with my parents right before I died. I got in a huge fight with them because they wouldn't let me go to this party. I yelled at them that they were the worst. I went anyway, and then I got drunk, and my friends wanted me to drive them home. I get it.
I just wish I could go back and ask him how he was. Just take the time to listen to him, you know. I believe he was trying to tell me. I just wouldn't listen.
Yeah. I mean, I know, I hated the mental health stuff. I thought it was stupid. It's probably why I lashed out so much. I just didn't want to talk about it.
Do you want to talk about it now?
There's no point to it.
I mean, we're going to be here for a while. There's no real point to anything.
Lex sits and thinks for a second.
Okay. Well, I can give it a shot, I guess.
Lex and Jeff proceed to talk for who knows how long. Lex talked about his life story.
Me and my girlfriend were on the rocks for a while. We got into a really big fight right before I went to that party.
Jeff finally finished.
And Jeff finally finished his.
And then we didn't have enough money for a second round of chemotherapy after that, so we just decided to let the cancer take its course.
And then they just talked about the little things, whatever came to their mind.
You know, I never really liked pecan pie. Too many pecans.
I feel the same way, and everybody around me loved it.
Really? That's how my folks were.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They told some jokes.
And then I said, that's not a caterpillar, that's my wife.
They told some more stories.
I was the biggest largemouth anybody in that whole town had ever seen.
Wow. I used to love going fishing with my dad. There was this one time when me and him were...
They talked and talked until they didn't have anything left to talk about.
How long do you think until I get off the waiting list?
Number 4,500,103.
Maybe a couple more centuries.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna take a nap just to pass the time.
Go right ahead, bud.
Lex goes to sleep. After a little while, when Lex is fully out, Jeff gives him a look of gratitude, pats him on the leg, and then heads back the way he originally came up to heaven. Lex then wakes up and realizes Jeff isn't there. Confused, he goes over to the receptionist's desk.
Hey, did you see where Jeff went?
Yep. While you were asleep, he went up to heaven. I'll admit he went the long way. He could have just come up here and asked for the keys.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want your keys now?
Lex looks back on where the angel said Jeff came from.
Yeah, I do.
End of play.
That was by Lucien, Sammons, everybody. Luke, what was your first play at Alchemy?
I think it was something rhyme.
And then your most recent play with Alchemy was?
Cheerleaders versus aliens.
Next up is Olivia Chambers, not a working title. She tells me this is only a sample of her work and not a full working script. So if that cat can come on down. Interestingly, maybe, or not interestingly at all, her first play here at Alchemy Theatre was?
The Book Women.
By Rachel Bublitz. Which means we also got strapped with her dad. And we're glad that they're here. So thank you, Rachel, for that.
I've been strapped with her dad for like half a century.
Now he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, the final play from our student competition. Olivia Chambers is a something grade in homeschool. She's an 11th grader. Not a working title.
Not a working title, an ironically unfinished sample script by Olivia Chambers. We're working on a children's library, or the floor of a library where children reside regularly, this one being destitute. Librarians sit at their own stations facing away from each other that make up a circle in the middle, like a regular checkout area and an elevator somewhere. Computers and occasional library beeps when it makes sense. Boxes, files, this floor has not been visited in a while. Emily sits back with her feet laying on the desk and chews her gum loudly before she begins. Lights up.
Hey, Max.
Maggie types continually, then sighs as she says,
1 second. All right, what's up?
What you doing?
Working.
Emily removes her feet in a concerned fashion.
Am I supposed to be doing work right now?
Nah.
Oh, thank God, Jesus, Mags, you can't do that to me.
Miranda turns in her chair to say to Emily,
You know, you could, like, pick up the place.
Why would I do that?
Because eventually someone's gonna want to check out Hunger Games.
I know that. That's why I got it right here. Locked and loaded.
So when some kid finally comes up here, you're gonna say, "Oh, hey, here's
the elevator dings and a young middle schooler walks in with her mom.
Hey, welcome!
She gestures, opening her arms to welcome them to the mess that is the kids' floor.
You guys looking for the Hunger Games?
The little girl nods her head quickly and silently. Emily looks over at Miranda.
Come and get it.
She stands and checks the little girl out while the others watch in disbelief. The girl and her mother exit.
Boom, shakalaka, that's how it's done.
Dang. Emily is the only one standing, singling her out from the others who have gone back to their computer work.
Okay, so what are you guys working on? Why don't you clean the floor?
Well, it's more than the floor. I mean, the shelves are all...
You know what the floor!
They turn to look at her.
You good, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I came here to be like an actual librarian, you know, because I get to help people. I love books. It's like I went to college to do this. I have like a whole official title like a doctor. I want to work, for Christ's sakes.
You dreamt of being a librarian?
In a few years, this place isn't even going to be here. Honestly, this place is more of a homeless shelter than anything. Kindles, podcasts, the list goes on. You don't need to read about someone's life for the first 16 pages anymore to figure out how to use a microwave.
You're right.
No wonder kids like dystopias so much. They're living in one. And, you know...
The two turn to look at Miranda.
We do have a book about microwaves.
Lights down. We open on the girls cleaning the library together, picking up what mess is laid out as they converse through this portion. Miranda and Maggie are in closer vicinity to each other, picking up papers. Emily is organizing books on a shelf on the opposite side of the library. We continue mid-conversation.
I mean, I get not knowing, like, the Jackson 5 stuff, but everyone at least has heard of Thriller, right?
She finds a photograph in the stack of papers.
Hey, look at this!
She goes up to Miranda, showing her the picture while Miranda holds files and coloring pages she was previously picking up.
Aw, wow, man, this place used to be like an actual library.
We're just gonna brush over the fact that you're dating a man who doesn't know who Michael Jackson is.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anyone that happy to read.
He's the king of pop.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, this is a real gem.
MJ!
She starts walking towards the other two.
Look at their little faces.
At this point, Maggie has reached the other two and sees the photo. You can choose to leave the photo unseen or project a photo taken on the set with a group of kids and librarians and a banner displaying summer reading, with everyone dressed badly in stereotypical 1980s attire, big wigs along with the colorful clothes.
They definitely know who MJ is. Oh man, we could be them!
We were, Emily, but you see, as time passes, you
Not the kids, come on guys! I'm serious, we can turn this place around, we just need to... Summer reading! Let's do summer reading!
I think we do.
We do?
We do.
Damn it, well that's all I got.
Well, wait, but if you didn't know about it, I'm sure the kids don't.
That's right.
Yeah, so really we just need to advertise.
What's that gonna do? There's a library here. If they wanted to read, they'd read.
Summer reading was never about the books. It was about having your parents say you read a ton of books and getting a prize. Duh.
You could do that?
Oh yeah, that's how everybody did it.
Not me.
Okay, sure, but wouldn't we just risk losing money buying prizes?
Not if we make this place somewhere people want to be.
I read the Torah. How? It took me a month.
Well, we can paint the walls.
I'm not even Jewish.
Wait, the Torah isn't that long.
Maybe a big Michael Jackson right here. Educate the youth.
I was 6. You read the Torah as a non-Jewish 6-year-old?
Love it! She cannonballs into a beanbag chair covered in cluttered papers, then immediately rolls into the floor, now holding her knee.
Oh my god! It's really filled with thieves! Oh my god, that hurts so bad!
They walk over to check on Emily.
We can't let kids be on that thing!
Well, you're supposed to sit on it.
Like for leisure?
It's also old. Like, really old.
Emily sits back against the beanbag chair.
I give up. I mean, even if we had a ball pit of princesses, we'd never get the funding. It'd be like throwing money down the drain for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
She starts walking back to her desk and continues with sarcasm.
I guess we could go back to getting paid to do nothing or whatever. Sounds like a terrible idea.
Maggie begins to follow Miranda hesitantly, but stops in between the two when Emily starts to speak.
I take it back. I don't give up. And your bad attitudes was got me motivated. You know, men die within 3 months of retiring, right?
I really don't think that's right.
Well, that's basically what we're doing here, retiring. If we don't turn this job into some sort of purpose, we're all gonna die in 3 months.
Maggie turns to Miranda, whose distracted typing and clicking sounds have filled the space where silence should be.
I don't think her numbers are right. She has a point.
End of sample.
Would you welcome to the stage our playwrights, Olivia Chambers, Lucien, Sammons, and Jacob White Cribb. Would you welcome back to the stage also our esteemed guest and moderator of this session, Rachel Bublitz.
Well, again, another round of applause for these guys. I never wrote a play when I was in high school, so, you got me beat. Awesome. So let's start with Tech Failure by Jake. Yes, you? Okay, great. Names are hard for me. So, got it. Okay. I'm going to start with some of the things that really grabbed me. Who is him? I think it's time we call it him. The mythology around Ethan is it so grabs me and brings me in as an audience member. It's so funny. And then when he has, I know this isn't going to be a movie, but when Ethan walks in, it's like I imagine the slow walk strut of this incredible nerd, just walking to save the day, which he won't. And I think it creates so much comedic tension. You're just building him up so much, in which he totally crashes and burns, which is great. I was also super surprised that Steven didn't even work there. I was like, where's your paycheck coming from, man? That was really, that really got me too. There also you had a lot of physical comedy kind of built in, which is lovely. Plays are three-dimensional creatures. It's not just about what we say. So having the actors physically do things always adds to that, But yeah, and then the ending with let's go get lunch. Because I worked at offices. That's how almost all things end. Let's go get lunch. So yeah, let's take some comments from the audience. What grabbed you? What popped? Yeah.
There was a joke that I was hoping that he would hit. A callback to Steven not working there. It's 5 minutes after we discovered that he doesn't work there. I wish I could remember the exact lines or something like that, but it's John says something about, we need to get, I can't remember. I just wanted Steven to pipe back in and be like, I don't even work here. Just to give us one more. But if I can see the script, I'll tell you the spot. I loved it though. I thought it was really funny.
Reminds me of present day Office Space, for instance.
Yes.
People that have seen Office Space.
I love them.
Yeah, it's very funny. And just the whole tech aspect of not being able to fix anything.
Yeah. The unplug it and plug it back up.
Yeah.
Classic.
Anything.
Yes.
as someone who's worked in IT for the last couple decades, that is exactly correct.
Yeah. Literally what my husband does. When I'm like, it doesn't work, he's like, have you turned it off and on?
All of that is accurate.
Yeah.
The whole thing you did.
Definitely. That too. All of it. People pretending to work.
So, do you have office experience?
I don't have office experience. I do have tech experience.
Okay.
So
You encapsulated both
Yes.
very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
How was it different once you finally got to hear people say it out loud?
So it was a bit different than I imagined it because whenever I imagine like something I write out, I use like versions of my own voice. With a wider range of voices though, it sounded much better like hearing it read aloud than if I ever read it in my head.
That's great. That's really fun. I always love, I read all of my plays out loud to myself in my office, playing all the characters. It's a lot. Sometimes my daughter will have a guest over and she's like, what's your mom doing? Don't talk to her, she's crazy. But then the play gets 10 times better when other smarter actors are invited in to read it, and it's always so exciting. So I'm glad you had that experience as well. It's really fun. One more.
I always appreciate plays that, I mean, like the setting of yours is something that people have already said is so familiar, and like the audience is kind of like they're in the beginning because it's familiar, but then you were able to take it somewhere different. Like we weren't expecting everything to happen that happened. So it's always a nice little mixture of things for an audience to like we're sold on it, we know where we are, and then you get to surprise us with things too.
Okay, there's one more burning one right here.
The subverting of expectations that you did was perfect because like even things that people wouldn't think about like at all, because it's like, oh, that building's across the street. Like who would come up with that? That's perfect. It's like it's what writing is about, and that's really awesome.
Really well done. All right. And then we had In Limbo. Congratulations, well done. I've never written an afterlife play, but I have like a big spot in my heart for afterlife things. I love it when we're like, we're gonna create a new mythology and new rules, and like, I think sometimes you can kind of get bogged down into like giving too many rules and too much setup. And I think this play is really successful in that it gives us just enough to where we're like, the author knows what's going on. I feel safe in this, because if you don't have enough, people are like, wait, why is this? Why is there a monkey? Why is that? You know? But if we're like, no, I feel secure in that you figured things out. But I'm also like, I want to know more. I'm like, when I read it, the angel was hilarious, but the voice of the angel is perfect. Some other things that really stood out to me were like are my friends dead? And then the guy's like, well, is your friend a good person? And you're like, ah. You like took advantage of like basically silence in that, and like not saying anything is saying things. The sacrifice program, all the like alternatives were pretty horrific. I also appreciated the passage of time and how like later, especially or like the naps and when we're going through time, it's like we just hear bits of the story, but like the audience knows that we're keeping going, and I think that will read even if you don't have stage directions. Like, and so that's really fun, and it's like an element that's really exciting about it, because it's hard to have that much centuries pass on stage without us feeling it, you know. But I never felt lost in where we were in the play. So well done. Other things that people, yes.
I'm a personal friend of this guy. That was amazing. I was going to write something with him before, but I did not follow through like at all. And he showed me something different, and I was like, a few things, and he was like, I don't know if you just had this in your back pocket or if you wrote this within the day of submission, of before submission
No, I
or
wrote it
whatever.
beforehand.
This is awesome. This is wonderful. And I just wanted to say, like, it's so from being like from a person who is younger. It is so what's the word I'm looking for? It's not youthful, but the opposite.
Old.
Yeah, it's in a good way. Yeah, it's so wise in its interpretation of everything. It's so surprising that like you wrote that, because it seems like something that would come from someone who's been writing for a long time. It's really nice.
Thank you.
So going off of that, I've been writing for a long time. So we talked a lot in the very first one, Eric show, right? He's been writing for a long time, right? Yeah. So we talked about how he did such a good job of having the comedy juxtaposed with some like really heavy, kind of sad stuff, and that's like a good trait to have in a show. You hit that. I mean, is this the first thing you've written? Because you did that very well.
I've written some stuff that I will never show. But
Don't ever.
But you did that tone so well, which was really impressive, I think.
Thank you. I was kind of nervous about that. I remember when I had my mom first read it, I was like, is the end a little bit too dark? Did it get too dark at the end? And she was like, no, it works. And so yeah, that was the thing I was worried about. But I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, no, I think it goes back and forth really well in an engaging way.
Okay, thank
But
you.
you also helped him like achieve the goal of the older person going back.
Yeah.
So he served his purpose without realizing he had a purpose to serve.
Yeah.
So that was really intelligent.
Thank you.
Yes, you had your hand up, Priscilla.
I really liked how it's like, are you willing to sacrifice yourself? And then it was like so funny because it's like there's a 1% chance you're gonna end up in heaven.
Wait centuries for it. Okay, the back row.
Yeah, suggestions aren't criticism, just an alternate path. I thought one of the things you did was really cool was that you take a number, we've all done it at the ice cream store, whatever, and it's 300 million. And then the angel says, 4,101,000. I think that's so dramatic that I would have had one of the other characters repeat it. Said, oh man, you're at only 1 million, because I'm not sure the audience then they don't remember those numbers. 3 million.
That's a good question then, because I tracked it.
Yeah.
I felt like the audience tracked it.
Okay, good.
Did we track it?
But
And then 102
the numbers
and then
go
103
up
is
and the
going-
one is below. So is there like, does it loop of like in the numbers?
I think it helped us to track because we got to see it.
Oh, that's true. We did get to read it before.
I just thought if it had been like 4,000,001, that would have been like a little bit easier.
Yeah, just make it.
The mix-up numbers were funny though. I thought that.
That was a good point. Okay, and then over here.
My thespian script is an afterlife story where the purgatory realm is called Limbo. So I just thought that was really neat. And I think stories and conversation about death is so interesting. It's it happens to everyone, but nobody knows anything about it, so you can just create whatever kind of mythology you want and do whatever you want with it, and you can be absurd or make it like reflect life. There's a lot you can do. It's interesting.
Yeah, for real. There's I had a lot of ideas when I was first started to write it. I was like, there's so much potential with like a random person being put in purgatory, just like different personalities. It's just an interesting concept. Yeah.
Very cool.
As a retired pastor, we could talk later about this. There is a book that talks about that a little bit. No, seriously, it's a wonderful life. Heaven can wait. All dogs go to heaven. I mean, all these are good because it evokes this desire to maybe understand more, or research more, or go to church on Sunday. that kind of stuff. So I loved it. Love it.
Thank you.
And then one more.
I will be laughing at the caterpillar joke.
That was so good.
I can't decide if I want to know what happened to the man's son or not. Like, if, I'm assuming he's not in heaven, but you know, I'm like, I don't know. I can't decide if I want more exploration.
Like, is he waiting for his son to show up?
I mean, I think clearly that's why he came down there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take that credit.
I definitely thought about that beforehand.
Awesome. Well, one more round of applause. And then our final play of the night, not a working title, about libraries that I love. I love the specificity of like a children's library in disrepair. Immediately, I like see it. I think I don't know. I've at least stepped into a library that like needed some straightening up, you know. And then this feels like significantly past that. So right on the page, I'm like with the women. The moment with the Hunger Games, locked and loaded, and then it happens immediately, and it's like, here you go. Godspeed, you know? That was hilarious. The back and forth of like, why don't you clean the floor? Nobody wanted that. And I think, I don't know if it's my favorite moment, but like her like searching and being like, we do have a book about libraries. Or no, microwave, sorry, microwaves. Look, I found it, it's there. So there was a lot, I could go on. We're all going to die in 3 months. There is a lot of moments. I'm excited. I know it says it's a sample. I would read more of this. Like, I'm there with these ladies. I want to know. It sounds like they have an objective. They're like on a path. They want things. There are a lot of obstacles. So I'm curious to see if there is a next. What happens next? Let's hear from yes.
Yeah. That's why she was tentative about even turning anything in because she'd been working on it for months. And it's funny, I was trying to help too, like with the idea that we run into the same problem the characters do. It's like they have a passion for wanting to revitalize this children's part of the library, this small children's library. And then we were just like, we banged our head against the wall. It's like, what is the idea? Like, because we wanted the play to say something actually useful, maybe applicable to real life, like how to, just somewhere that they could institute whatever.
You
I don't
didn't
know,
write
like
this.
a teaser. I would say we'll take suggestions.
That is a problem you run into. With hearing people read it out loud, I've figured out places to go with it in my head, but you stop writing and you're like, yeah, how do you fix libraries? Like, that's a problem, and that's the reason it's interesting, because there's not an active solution at the moment. I mean, people are trying to revitalize it, but I think ultimately using technology to bring it back around.
Technology, I'm not offering suggestions, but if I were in your shoes, I would get out a journal and I would write down 100 ways that they could do it. Or give myself 10 minutes and not let myself stop. Whenever I had hit a road bump where I'm like, they have a goal, they know what they want, but I don't know what's next, I just like do it, and then I'm like, okay, what's the not dumbest one? And then I do that. And then we see, or like maybe there's 3 because the first one fails and then they need to go to 2 and then they need to go to 3. It just helps you because there's going to be a lot of them that are bad ideas. And then maybe you write the full thing and you're like, that's still not the idea. I have a play that's like super serious and it ends with like the FBI banging down the door. It is not the ending. But like now the ending is great, but I couldn't get there if I didn't have that ridiculous ending where an FBI agent kicks in the door and arrests the characters. Like that wasn't that play at all. It's like a realistic Silicon Valley play. Right? So things can be bad. Bad first drafts. Let your first drafts be bad. Let them have bad ideas. And also, like, these ladies might have legitimately bad ideas. You know, they don't know how to answer.
And that could be funny.
And that could be fun, yeah. Over here.
My favorite thing about it is how it all seems like such a culmination of you. Like, I can pick out things about it that are from other things. Like, at the heart of it, the characters wanting people to want to read reminds me of the book Women. And the part about I want to be a real librarian reminds me of I want to be a real actress in Circle Mirror. And things like that, and how your voice shines through in all of it, like with them balancing multiple conversations at once. It's smart, and I like it.
Aww.
Yeah, I was going to say that the character development, like these characters are so great that I think you could go an avenue of they fail at something and it's still going to be great, their interaction of what goes on. But I love the character development and just how they interacted, and really well done.
I think there's a lot in characters failing. And sometimes they fail in a way that they don't realize at the time that they succeeded, you know? So there's a lot to explore, yeah.
You all were so great, and the plays were wonderful. I, as an audience member, felt like I was in all of them. I was in the office, I was in the library, I was in heaven. I mean, I just, you know, I could just feel it, and that's why it was so good.
Yay! I think that's a perfect way to end. Congratulations to all of them.
So you three to take a seat out there in the most inconvenient place possible. Rachel, Mike, and I are going to talk for like 30 seconds. We have an award but you guys go back to where you're from, so we don't get to stare awkwardly at the. You guys give us like 15, 20 seconds, and we'll talk over here.
Why did you say mother? Okay, I'm going to say I could speak.
We have made a decision. We have had the results tallied by our our accounting firm of Rice. Please make sure the winner, whoever you are, please make sure that IKEA has your email address so we can put you on the season pass holder, because not only are you a Curator's Choice Award winner, you're now a 2025 Alchemy Season Pass holder. This fancy lanyard and this pretty card. You can, for those who still are envious and would like to have one of those, they're available for purchase in our box office for only $160, and you get to see all the thousands of shows that we're doing this year. Without further ado, after I do some more ado, thank you guys for being here. I'm honored that you guys always stick it out and are entertained and enjoy yourselves. If you're into adult material and want to see how film scripts come out, please join us tomorrow. Tell all your friends about it. Season pass holders come back on your season pass. And thank you for being here. Be safe when you leave. The winner of this year's Curator's Choice Award is In Limbo by Lucien.